Xavier Worthy. First down for the Chiefs since 11:20 of the first quarter. Mahomes now, and he's going to be sacked. Mahomes again in trouble, and again he's sacked. This time back at the 37-yard line. Josh Sweat. Mahomes will throw it on the run. It's intercepted. Intercepted by the Eagles at the 30. Near side 25. It's DeJean. 10. Inside the 5. Touchdown Philadelphia on a pick 6. Hurts will fake to Barkley. Wants to throw. He's throwing deep. Going down the center of the field. The pass is going to be caught for a touchdown. Philadelphia burning Jalen Watson. Devontae Smith. Mahomes will throw. They press the pocket. Mahomes is hit and stripped of the ball. The ball is loose and recovered by Philly. And for Kansas City, hugs by the defense on the field. Justin Reed hugging his teammates, including Jaden Hicks. You never know.
Yeah.
The NFL offseason. And this one is going to be an interesting one. Some decisions that have to be made by the Chiefs, but all of that will come in its own due time. First of all, the Philadelphia Eagles congratulate them as Super Bowl 59 champions.
Well, obviously not the show we were hoping to have today, that's for sure. Cody and Gold here on a Monday in Kansas City, and everything outside looks very fitting of the result of yesterday's game as well. It's
supposed to snowstorm on Wednesday.
Yeah, just look outside, and it's kind of the vibe of the city. And for the next 4 hours, I'll be honest, it's going to suck. The next 4 hours talking about it's going to suck. I'd be lying if I was like,
were you really looking forward to it?
It's going to stink. We're going to take your texts as we always do. We'll also open up the phone lines here in about a half hour, 913-586-7965. But we'll kind of talk this whole thing out. And my immediate reaction as it was playing out last night was obviously just shock, frankly. Not that the Eagles would win.
That didn't seem out of the question.
I certainly thought the Chiefs were going to win this football game, but it was the way that it happened, of course. And I know we all had the instant Tampa Bay game flashbacks, right? That was immediately what we all thought of as that thing was playing out. Yeah. And I would argue it was a worse feeling because of the three-peat opportunity, the fact that they weren't moving the ball. But that was stunning. What we thought could have happened 2 years ago in Phoenix when they played the Eagles, and the talk about that defensive front of Philadelphia and how dominating they could be at the line of scrimmage. That's what actually happened this go around. All the narrative that was there 2 years ago, it's actually what did come to fruition this go around. But that was a flat out stunning game yesterday against Philadelphia.
Again, it's not that I didn't think they could lose. I obviously thought they could lose. I didn't think they'd get their ass kicked from the very first snap of the game. I didn't think they would just get their entire body stuffed into a locker for 4 consecutive hours. They didn't just lose. They lost.
No, they got their ass kicked. It was complete domination by Philadelphia, and they deserve ultimate credit for winning Super Bowl 59. Sometimes everything is so simple. You can say, hey, can you win the battle at the line of scrimmage? Can you protect your quarterback? It always starts there. We always forget that sometimes, but that's where it starts. And this game was completely dominated at the most basic level. Can you protect your quarterback? Can you get after the quarterback? And can you protect the football? Those are the three. It doesn't get any simpler than that. And the Eagles dominated every single one of those areas: turnovers, line of scrimmage. They, of course, from the get-go, were able to get after Mahomes. And the simple way to dominate a football game is, we can get after your quarterback without even having a blitz. Our front four can beat yours. And boy, oh boy, did they ever, from the very first snap.
It is the first negative EPA game Patrick Mahomes has had since that Bengals game in the AFC title game. Look, if I've learned one thing, the path to the Chiefs losing in the playoffs is pretty simple. Mahomes just be awful. Not mediocre, or just straight up bad. That pick to Bond after they had at that time, I'm not even kidding. Before that pick, you're still grasping at life. They're immediately pressuring you across the board. You have problems. They're dictating all the action. It's an issue already. You can feel it, right? You can already feel like it's a problem. You get the pick, and you're like, for 1/2 of 1 second, I can breathe. And then pressure gets backed into Patrick Mahomes. He throws the pick to Bond, and you're like, my God, I can't believe for a second time in a Super Bowl we're going to get to halftime, and I know this game is over.
Yeah, it was clearly over. They had no answer.
Yeah, it's the single worst start of Patrick Mahomes' career. I think we know that. It was an embarrassing loss for a variety of reasons, and yeah, because you were going for the three-peat, it's not going to feel good today because everyone, and I mean everyone, was waiting for you to fail. Thrilled at your failure. They've been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Like, you got to think about how much built-up anxiety from fan bases over watching your team finally lose. That does not make it feel better this morning.
No, that pours some salt on the wound. That's for sure. That's the way this whole thing works, though, right? I mean, that's when you are on top, like the Chiefs have been for years and years and years now. People are waiting. They might have to wait 3 years. They might have to wait 7 years. In this case, they had to wait until Super Bowl 59. People were ready to pounce, and that's just like, as much as it sucks. And boy, oh boy, like again, this stinks, flat out stinks. But this is not unique to Kansas City in terms of the majority of the country enjoying what occurred yesterday, and
I'm just so happy for your failure.
Like it stinks being in KC and seeing that reaction. But whether the Chiefs would have won yesterday and then lost next year or the year after, this moment, maybe not in the dominating fashion, I'll give you that. But this moment, in terms of everybody taking joy in your city and our city's pain, suffering, that day was going to come at some point. It unfortunately came 4 quarters short of a three-peat. And that's what stinks if we talk about, we'll talk the full spectrum of the Dynasty stuff in the 11 o'clock hour. But let's be real with ourselves here. This organization, and maybe no other team, period, in our lifetime, will ever have another shot at a three-peat. I firmly believe that. Like that's you get one shot at that. They got further than anybody else.
Plenty of chances at Super Bowls down the road, but one shot at the three-peat.
You don't get another opportunity to three-peat. It's amazing you even got one. That's historical in its own right. Getting to the Super Bowl.
To the game.
Yeah, nobody's gotten this close to doing that, and there's a reason for that. It's so challenging. All that, it stings, it sucks, like I understand, like you and I were looking it up before the show. We've all been spoiled. It doesn't mean this doesn't hurt still today. We've done the show since January of 2020, so we're going on our 6th year. And we started right before that playoff run when they went to Miami and beat the Niners when this all started. And we've done 21 shows after a loss. That's it. That's it.
Pretty good.
21 shows, 3 Super Bowl wins, and 2 Super Bowl losses in a almost 6-year period. Like that's just crazy. Like, but this is uncharted territory for the most part.
I know we'll talk about the Dynasty coming up here in a little bit, and there'll be a lot of people, a lot of talking heads, and I would tell you to stick with your local stations, listen right here on 96.5 The Fan, because if you go over to Fox Sports 1 or you go over to ESPN, there's going to be people shoveling dirt on top of the Dynasty already. Well, it's dead. Dynasty over, as if they're getting ready to go a decade like the Patriots did without winning a Super Bowl. We don't know that answer. We know that they're going to have to retool the offensive line, but there is the reason why I didn't see a blowout coming, you didn't see a blowout coming, is I didn't think in one single game they'd get outcoached on offense, outcoached on defense, outplayed at quarterback. I didn't get dominated on the offensive line. I didn't think all those things would culminate all together at once. But I mean, I know that nobody wants to hear the positive today because that's part of it. But I'll be honest, last night is kind of a perfect people I can't even watch this game anymore. And I'm sure some of you turned that game off at half, and I don't even blame you. What I'm saying though is here in Kansas City, you lived through Brody Croyle going 0 for 10 for your team and a million other miserable moments.
That's not how fans react in the moment,
I know.
Though.
So at least, and I get it. Again, people generally are for all the other fan bases that are dancing on your grave today, you can at least go to bed with your 3 Super Bowl rings in the last 7 years and sleep okay knowing that a lot of these loser fan bases, they're going to come dance on your grave, don't even have a ring to speak of.
Yeah,
it sucks.
When the dust settles,
today sucks.
When the dust settles, what you just said is obviously true, and the run that they still are on is incredible and historical and all that. But no, we're not even 24 hours off of this loss, and so it's a fresh wound, and in the manner it happened. Like, if you would have lost in overtime on a last-second field goal, don't get me wrong, it would be crushing and devastating. But to just get flat out dominated, and hey, got to eat a little bit of crow on the game. Admittedly, like I did not see this coming, neither did you, and in the manner that it happened. And for the first time, frankly, not that we're never wrong, but for the first time in a Super Bowl since the Bucs won, and the first time really in a big-time game, we're completely off the quote-unquote script of how the game would play out. And eventually it's going to come back to get you. And it did, and that's something that everybody, as you said, whether you want to, if you want to stay away from national media coverage or whatever, maybe if that's what you need for your own mental health, going forward this week, totally understand it. It just, you said it, there's so many aspects of this game were on the three things that got them there. How many times did we say that they don't beat themselves, not just turnover-wise, but they don't make the dumb penalties? This game had
multiple
some,
the first couple
some
drives.
Bad penalties. 3rd and 26, you get a bad penalty. You can call it soft or whatever, but it's still bad.
Just no reason to hit Barkley there.
Stupid play, right? Just a stupid play. That's the kind of stuff they have never done during this run, really. I'm not even talking about this year, but throughout this run, that kind of stuff. I mean, you guys probably saw, I'm sure, during the broadcast, I think it was in the end of the first half or early third quarter, where they panned to the sideline shot and they kind of panned across the bench of the Chiefs. That was a look we have not seen since 2022 in the Bucs game or whatever that was, or the COVID year, sorry. So 2021, 2020. Hadn't seen that look in a game. And they've lost games, but not to that extent where reality is setting in. And obviously there's a lot of pieces, and we'll have later on the week to talk about those individuals. But a lot of guys that will never put on a Chiefs uniform again, never be part of this run again. And that is also, I think, part of it, not only for the players, but I think for fans here in Kansas City, knowing that this group, yes, Mahomes is not going anywhere, Andy's not going anywhere, but maybe Travis is, maybe
maybe Tooney is, or Trey Smith.
Who knows, right? Like Chris Jones is still going to be back, but
guys.
who knows how dominant he's going to be for how many more years. There's a lot, just all that reality sets it in. It just hits you so quickly because we've gotten accustomed to and frankly spoiled to, like, okay, this whole thing, I'll go out and buy my Super Bowl shirts Sunday night after the game, and on Monday we'll celebrate, and on Wednesday you'll talk about a parade being in downtown Kansas City, and then you move on to the offseason. And now it's like, no, it's just flat out over. And that's the reality for most teams, even in early January. It's just uncharted territory for the most part with this group.
You're never going to win a game in which the team does not blitz you. And you're like, but how? That means they didn't blitz you. That just means they didn't have to. Of the 42 dropbacks he took last night, he was blitzed 0 times and pressured on 50% of them. Is it weird that my initial, obviously their offensive line was the single biggest problem in the game. Mahomes played terrible. Andy, I didn't like his plan. We can talk about how he didn't run. We can get into all the little details.
I thought it was terrible, yeah.
The single biggest problem, obviously, was that the offensive line got absolutely curb stomped by every member of the Eagles' defensive line. 42 dropbacks, 50% pressure rate, and 0 blitzes. Is anyone else initial thought, how the hell did they hide this problem for this long? Like, I knew their offensive line wasn't good a huge chunk of the year. How the hell did they keep winning? How did other teams not take advantage of this? My God, they got dog walked. Part of me is like, how did you even survive at any point this year on offensive line?
How did they get to 15 wins, 15-2, and with a left guard playing left tackle? Yeah, and it's a credit to the Eagles is what it is, and they were the only defense, truly, they were the only defense this year that took advantage of the fact that you had a guard playing left tackle. And Joe Tooney, the fact that he played as well as he did up until this game, and Mike Caliendo played okay to get to this point, was pretty remarkable. Andy Heck and Andy Reid, yeah, they get credit for that aspect, no doubt. But if you're the Bills, how the hell, you're probably thinking, how the heck did we not take advantage of
I'd be looking at my defensive line, that's for sure. They're not good enough. The answer is
personnel, and a very, very good roster in Philadelphia, and that's where I think the misjudging happened with that. I felt like from an edge rusher standpoint, the Chiefs had faced better, but obviously not. That was obviously not the case because this offensive line performance was one we haven't seen since the Bucs Super Bowl, plain and simple. And there were elements of it that made it feel worse, as a matter of fact, based off that first half where they had, 14 yards of offense the Chiefs had at one point, 14 total yards?
At halftime, the Eagles had more points than the Chiefs had yards.
Yeah.
They had 23 yards at half. The Eagles had 24, but like at some point, abandoning the run made sense, right? You had no choice. You were going to be able to like grind out the run game the rest of the way. Look, I'll give credit to Josh Briscoe, who came on the show on Friday, and we'd asked him what one of the worst mismatches was, and he said Joshua Sweat's arm length and speed versus Joe Thuney. That's the first game where I watched Joe Thuney just look really, really bad, which meant Caliendo had no saving grace. But also, like, the Eagles were better at getting the matchups they wanted. Travis Kelce had to try to block Sweat twice. That wasn't going to go well. It wasn't like he just beat Thuney every time off the edge. It wasn't like we spent time talking Jalen Carter. It wasn't just Jalen Carter. It was every single member of the offensive line had their worst day of the season. Like, I can't believe that they didn't have bigger problems during the season, I guess.
Eagles blitz Mahomes on exactly 0 of his 42 dropbacks. You don't have to blitz if you can get home with 4. you don't have to blitz if you can do that.
Yeah.
Mahomes is the 6th quarterback in the Super Bowl ever to not be blitzed a single time. All 6 lost, as in
Shocker.
That means your offensive line is getting dominated. They don't have to blitz all 6. As you said, sometimes it's that simple. Did you get out physicaled at the line of scrimmage? Plain and simple. Start there, and a lot of games will tell you who won. If you just go around, pick a random game in NFL history, and you went in and you surveyed somebody and said, hey, Super Bowl 50, whatever, right? Like, all right, who actually had more sacks? Who was more dominant physically in the line of scrimmage? I would say in most cases, the team that won that is who won the game. I mean, it's that simple, and the Chiefs flat out got dominated. Now, Patrick Mahomes took full responsibility for his performance. Obviously, the O-line was a huge part of it, but he did not play well, to say the least. Here's what he said after the game.
I
think in order to make a team blitz, you have to be able to beat what they're showing, and that's what we didn't do, especially in the first half. And we made some good adjustments in halftime and came out better, but it was almost too late. The momentum had kind of flipped in their favor in how they play with Saquon and how they can run the football and control the clock with Jalen making big third down conversions. It kind of put our defense in a really bad spot. And so when you're in these big games, you have to play better from the beginning. And that's stuff that I'll have to continue to work on and continue to get better at, and force defenses to blitz by attacking their zone coverage the right way. And so that's something that I can continue to get better at in my career.
What was the biggest factor in the first half that enabled them to get out to the big lead?
I threw 2 interceptions and they're in. I mean, I threw a pick 6 and I threw a pick that they returned to the 5-yard line and they scored immediately after. So when you give a team 14 points, especially a really good football team, a Super Bowl football team, then not a lot of good things happen. And so that's why I take ownership of this loss more than probably any loss in my entire career, because I put us in a bad spot. And
he's right. He did.
Yeah, and
he was miserable.
He was rattled like almost immediately. I know all 3 of us, we had our group text going, and of course we had just kind of our Google document we put together during the show, and we all just put in notes and immediate thoughts right in the moment of what's going on. And the fact that it happened so quickly, it didn't take until the second quarter for him to start getting happy feet. It was like after the first drive, and understandably so to a certain extent. But then it impacted him so much that even when he actually had more time than he thought, at that point you had already lost it. And we hadn't seen, other than you referenced the first half against New England maybe many years ago with Belichick, obviously the half against the Bengals in the AFC title game, and then of course the whole game against Tampa. Those are really the 3 instances where you can remember watching Mahomes just flat out look rattled and shook, and he was.
And it's pretty uncommon. Like originally when that came in, like when we were starting to talk about it was like 17-0. I'm like, man, I kind of refuse to think Mahomes can get rattled, even if it's 17-0, because at what point? But the pressure got to the point that he was out of his game. He was making errant passes. He was making bad throws. His best throws in the game came at the absolute most meaningless portion of it. And then it always goes back to the same thing, right? You want to just like go back in history and be like, well, I wish he'd uncorked that deep throw to Xavier Worthy when he like half pumped back and then checked down to Juju Smith-Schuster. And what ended up being a punting drive in the game was like 7-0 and still like meant something, because that is part of what I think part of the problem in the offense is that they still don't possess a regular deep passing game, and they couldn't have stood back there for more than
time
5.
for deep routes to the
Yeah, it didn't matter. And that comes back, and part of the reason they didn't have a deep passing game this year, I did not think was because of the weapons. I think a huge reason why they didn't have a deep passing game this year is because they couldn't, because they never possessed the time. And then in this game, it just felt so exaggerated. But yeah, that's the worst game of Mahomes' career. It is likely to forever be the worst game of his career. And it is unfortunate for him that it came in a Super Bowl because that will make it stand out worse.
Of course.
Like as we talk legacy and the stuff later in the show, I can point out plenty of bad playoff games between the other guys who had dynasties in games in which they didn't even get to the Super Bowl to look bad. But for him, he did it in the Super Bowl, which is a pretty bad time.
Oh, in the short term,
it
it's
terrible.
In the short term, it's devastating for the conversation around dynasty or legacy for him individually. That is something that's going to take many, many years to soften, depending on what kind of success he has over the next 10 years and what kind of success the Chiefs have over the next 10 years. That's the reality. That's how this whole thing works, whether we like it or not. That's how the conversations nationally and everything will be about them. And we'll have later on this week to discuss the offseason kind of stuff and basically like, hey, they have not been able to develop a left tackle, plain and simple, and that's part of this whole equation, right? Like if we're really simplifying what occurred now in the Bucs Super Bowl, both their tackles got hurt. They had tackles, they just got hurt. In this one, they never had a left tackle. They just never did. Kingsley was the opening day starter at left tackle. We all know Wanye got an opportunity, and then they thought DJ Humphries could help. He played like 3.5 quarters against the Chargers, got hurt, never started again. Joe Tooney did a really nice job filling in, but he's a left guard. Like they have not been able to develop that position. Plain and simple. That has to be the priority, as we thought it was last offseason as well. We'll have later on this week to dive deeper into that, but like that is even more evident. Now, if you want to be somewhat optimistic on an otherwise very gloomy day here in Kansas City, you would say, hey, the last time they got their ass kicked like this in a Super Bowl against the Bucs,
they fixed it.
They just completely put all their resources into said problem. The issue, I think, this go around is there are a lot of contracts and individuals that they have to make decisions on. They're not in as good of a spot financially, I would argue, as they were after the Bucs game, the Bucs Super Bowl. I don't think they are. But that's a much longer conversation we can have, and why I believe that's the case with some of the guys that are pending free agents and some that are due contract extensions.
This one hurts like 5 times more than that Bucs one because you had the chance for the three-peat.
Yeah, that close.
It's just like it was right there to like, and again, it's impressive a lot of times because the best team does not always win the Super Bowl. I think it's fairly obvious based on last night's performance that the Chiefs were not the best team anyway. But the best team does not always win the Super Bowl. But like to navigate what I thought was kind of a funky year roster-wise where they weren't in transition, but because of the offensive line stuff, you have to go in there. I mean, God, to get that far and then just get beat in that way. The Bucs one, it sucks because it was Tom Brady and all this other stuff. And yeah, we're going to have to sideline probably any Brady conversation till the end of the career or anything else that kind of come with it. And yeah, we don't have to like revisit that or bring it back up. And we'll point out some stats that, like
pause that thing for a decade, please.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it looks, but it feels way worse. But that Bucs one, it felt like the injuries caught you at the wrong time and you caught a team at the wrong time in the wrong moment. It felt like they had stabilized their offensive line at least for a while. And then you just go back and you second guess. You're like, you just got a DJ Humphries in the middle of the game? Or I go even further back. I start wondering if they should have did you give up on Wanye too soon? Or did you give up on Kingsley too soon? And should you spend a huge chunk of your year just trying to make sure that those guys were as good at left tackle as they could have been so that Tooney stayed at left guard? There's a reason why. Gold, we talked about this. There's a reason why Joe Tooney was option 6 at left tackle. They did not want to do it. They drafted Kingsley. They tried Wanye. They traded for they signed DJ Humphries. They tried a million different things before they switched to Joe Tooney at left tackle. And now, in retrospect, I'm like, damn, maybe you should just keep taking bites at that apple. And then it's like, would Mahomes even have lived if Wanye had been the left tackle the whole way? Who knows, right?
Going back to the question you were asked, though, 2 minutes ago, what stings more? Yeah, it's this loss. And you guys can let us know, 913-586-7965. We'll take your calls. If you want to call in, talk about how you're feeling today and what you saw yesterday. We'll open up the phone lines for you guys as well. But I think a pretty obvious answer, I don't know if it's even much of a debate, what stings more? It's the loss last night, not just because it's less than 24 hours ago and it's fresh, but it's because of the history aspect, Cody. It's also because I even thought in the Bucs game, they at least in the first half moved the ball. Now they didn't have a lot of success, but they moved the ball. They had nothing. They looked like some of the teams that we make fun of offensively in the regular season at times. They looked like a Chicago Bears team from 3 years ago offensively, or at times this year. That's at times how they looked offensively. I thought the defense in the first half actually gave them a chance to absolutely still be in the game. We can play the blame game. That's what we do, and everybody likes to do. But that was not the defensive effort that you say, oh my gosh, not good enough. No, late in the second half, of course, when everything really started to slide on them, yes. But the way they play in the first half, your offense gives you a short field and a pick six. What do you expect? I mean, the defense bottled up Saquon. Like, this was not a defensive problem. That's also what makes it sting more for me is I actually thought for the most part, up until the second half when it all fell apart, that the defense played well enough to keep, like at halftime, the defense played well enough for that not to be what it was, 24-0.
No, for it to be like 10 or 13 or something, like something manageable where you could have still implemented a regular game plan. I'm with you. A lot of people want to bury Spags today. And look,
No, this was not on Spags. Sorry. Absolutely not.
913-586-7965. We will open up the phone lines. But I'll just be honest with you. I'm going to bury you if any of the conversations start with A, fire Andy Reid. 2, fire Steve Spagnuolo. 3, Mahomes can't play in a big game. He has 3 Super Bowl titles. 4, like there's a short list of ones where I am likely to mock you. If your take is Andy he doesn't see it anymore. Yeah. It's time to let him go. Or fire Brett Veach because he didn't build a roster good enough to win 3 Super Bowls in a row? It was only a roster good enough to win 2 Super Bowls in a row and go to a third? I'm not saying he's perfect or infallible or they didn't screw up the left tackle position, but if the stance is fire Brett Veach for the job he's done, I do not agree with that stance. And I'm going to make that very clear.
Up next, we'll take your call. Zach, I already see you on hold. We'll get to your call, plus others, 913-586-7965. And there's also the big looming question after this one, which I think maybe got cloudier around one Chiefs player. We'll tell you who that is next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
With us is Dr. Christian Hedinger with KCUC, Kansas City Urology Care.
Let's talk about robotic surgery.
KCUC brought robotic surgery to Kansas City over 2 decades ago. We performed the first robotic surgery, and we have led the charge since.
How do you maintain the constant technology improvements?
Each generation of robotics that's come along, we have consistently stayed at the forefront.
What is special about the prostate cancer treatment at KCUC?
We have surgeons, radiation oncologists, medical oncologists, medical dispensary, pathology, all under one roof.
Is being an independent group provider, is that an asset for your patients?
Definitely. Being independent allows us to provide our patients care in an office setting as opposed to a hospital, where you get the most personalized, streamlined, and cost-effective treatment.
See the experts at Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit kcuc.com.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog is available to play in your state. Basketball season here over at Underdog. It's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play in your state. Want to win up to 1,000 times your money? You can with Underdog. Same rules, just choose a player, go higher or lower their stats. Points, assists, rebounds, whatever you're feeling for the upcoming either college or NBA slate. And you can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right, win up to 1,000 times your money. So, yeah, you could turn a dollar into $1,000 with your basketball knowledge. Millions of fans have won over billions playing at Underdog, and this app has over 100,000 five-star reviews with millions of players. Download the Underdog app today and sign up using promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And when you make your first deposit, join in on the fun when you sign in with that promo code TAPP. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Must be 18 plus in Missouri or where Underdog Fantasy operates. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
It starts as a nuisance and you just put up with it. But then that awful joint pain impacts everything in your life. Walking, climbing stairs, even getting in and out of the car hurts. Hey, it's Bob Fesco. I'm talking about that always there joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. But here's the good news. QC Kinetics. Groundbreaking treatments for arthritis pain. Long-term relief is now possible with no downtime. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients would tell you, don't wait. Make the call today. These new orthobiologic cellular therapies, including PRP treatments, can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. Look, joint pain doesn't get better with time, so before it's absolutely debilitating, see if you're a candidate for these life-changing regenerative treatments. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299.
Friday is Valentine's Day, so if you still have shopping to do, then it's time to get to Macy's, because we make finding the perfect gift so easy. How easy? We have last-minute gifts that feel truly thoughtful, like fragrance gift sets from Yves Saint Laurent, Carolina Herrera, and Marc Jacobs, boxed and ready to give. Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that. So head to Macy's and make their Valentine's Day a little more special and your life a little bit easier. But hurry in, because you're almost out of time. These deals start tomorrow at Macy's.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Once again, that's Indeed.com/credit.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
All right, everybody, it's here. The March to Spring Training and Opening Day is officially upon us. Hey, I'm Rob Bradford from Baseballs and Boring, and we'll have you covered every single day with instant reactions to late-breaking signings, determining which players are, yes, truly in the best shape of their lives, and behind-the-scenes stories from all the excitement and intrigue that spring training brings. Follow Baseballs and Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
17-0 Eagles. Chiefs 1st and 10. They stay out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Mahomes looking to throw, goes middle, and the pass is intercepted. Intercepted in the middle by Zach Bond. The second interception thrown by Mahomes in this half. One was a pick six, and now they're going to give the ball to the Eagles at the 14-yard line. Pat had come into this game with 288 consecutive passes without an interception.
Mitch Holt is, of course, on the call right here on 96.5 The Fan. I don't know if I can have highlights or lowlights playing every single time we come back from break today. That's going to be
pretty depressing, man. It's pretty depressing.
But that's the reality of what occurred, of course, in New Orleans last night in Super Bowl 59. We're taking your calls and texts throughout the show, kind of talking this one out. Rough day in Kansas City, to say the least, after being dominated by Philadelphia. 913-586-7965. We'll hear what Travis Kelce had to say after the game in just a couple of minutes, but I do want to give you guys an opportunity to chime in as well. Let's start with Zach. He's been waiting on hold a little bit. Zach in Lawrence, you're on Cody and Gold.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Yeah, that stung. That really sucked. I don't know if it touched the Colts, Titans, or even Buccaneers losses for me, though. I think part of it was after the Buccaneers loss, it was hard to imagine what the second act of Mahomes' career was going to look like. I think after seeing the 2 Super Bowls coming in and seeing how they can be able to build a team into that next phase of his career, I'm pretty optimistic, but Beach is really going to have to turn it around after 2 really bad drafts minus 2 really good rookie receivers. So thanks again for taking my call, guys, and thanks for making the season bearable.
Hey, thanks, Zach. Appreciate it, Zach and Lawrence. Look, the last point just about Brett Veach. Of course, he's got his work ahead of him again, like he's had for numerous years.
Made part of this problem.
I think that's the other thing that was really evident in the game last night. And to Philadelphia's credit, it's something that I didn't think was going to be so devastating to the Chiefs in the game. But you do start looking through after that performance, and you look at how well Howie Roseman has been able to draft consistently.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the line.
We all know Brett Veach, the 2022 draft, we all focus on. It was incredible. But that's the kind of draft that you're going to have to, not to that full extent, but you're going to have to pull off this offseason or next offseason again. Not the exact, hey, get McDuffie or Karlaftis type of play.
You need another good draft.
You're going to have to, because of the decisions that they're going to have this offseason anyway. We'll talk more about them as the week goes on. But there are numerous pieces that you either have to give extensions to or going to let walk. And that means if you're going to let let's say you're going to let a Trey Smith walk. Let's say that's the guy. All right, are you just going to plug in Kingsley there? Are you going to have to draft? Yeah, there's so many decisions that they have to make to kind of push this thing over. And we'll have the real conversation later on in the week, man. Like, is there a little bit of a reset in order to then prolong
a half rebuild?
Yeah, not a. I wouldn't even call it a rebuild.
Retool?
Sure.
Which one will you agree to term wise here?
We can figure that out later. We can figure that one out later.
It's good to laugh every once in a while.
I don't think they've been bad draft after bad draft or anything from Veach. I'm just saying that, to the caller's point, yeah, you need to hit on some drafts here over the next year or two if you want to extend this thing out. Looking at your roster, and it's an aging roster too. I know in certain areas you would say they're young, but offensively it's an aging roster. I know a lot of the weapons at wide receiver won't be back anyway, like D-Hop and Juju, but like they were slow last night too. It's pretty obvious. They were slow on offense with the exception of Xavier Worthy. Other than that, they were pretty slow. All right, Justin in KC, you're on with Cody and Gold.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call, man. That's what I was calling to talk about it's not a rebuild, but it's a retool. Obviously, real quick, offensive line. I mean, it's no easy day having to block probably one of the best defensive line, if not the best defensive line in the NFL. Obviously, I mean, Trey Smith's probably going to free agency. I think Creed Humphrey's a solid center, probably top 5 in the league. Juwan Taylor. I mean, what's been the problem all year? I mean, it's probably Patrick Mahomes' protection. It was a great season, disappointing finish, but I mean, he's running for his life trying to develop plays, and he's making uncharacteristic throws, very costly throws with the 2 picks. So, I mean, I think that, that was some of the turning points of the game. Obviously, on the other parts of the ball, God bless Jalen Watson, but I don't think I don't know if he's going to be back. I mean, I don't know if he can guard receivers like, an A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Obviously, they're going to have to get, like I said, they're going to have to get better on the offensive line. I don't know if it's a draft.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. I think DJ Humphries, Juwan Taylor, I don't know if that experience is done. I don't know if they're going to be able to develop Wanya Morris. But, obviously, like I said, I mean, Veach makes good decisions. I kind of disagree with the caller before that. Obviously, I trust him what Veach sees in getting the players he needs to get in. But, yeah, I mean, he's obviously got his work cut out for him. But thanks for taking my call, guys.
Yeah.
It was a great season. Just disappointed finish.
No doubt. Hey, thanks, Justin in KC, 913-586-7965. Taking your calls here on Cody and Gold, just your reaction to the season and obviously what occurred yesterday in Philadelphia. The offensive line, I mean, he mentioned some of the names. I mean, the decisions they will make there. There's some guys that are automatically back, okay? Creed Humphrey got an extension, so you're good there at center. That's not changing. Left guard,
Taylor is going to stick around at least
your
another
two
year.
guards are question marks. Are they going to give a new deal to Joe Thuney or Trey Smith? I think Trey Smith's probably gone, but that's a question an answer they're going to have to come up with. And then, Juwan Taylor, his contract is locked in. He's going to be the right tackle next year for this team. It's the left tackle and the guard spots that will be questioned.
This is the problem with last night. We always assume it's not about ignoring it. Brett Veach didn't ignore the offensive line problem. He has the highest paid center in football, an all-pro at center. He had an all-pro left guard. He had a league average to below league average left tackle when he had to move him out to left guard. He's an all-pro, but not at the position he was playing. He had a Pro Bowl-ish caliber Trey Smith. But, they've got three different linemen making $20+ million on this line, right? Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Juwan Taylor are all making a stack of money. And they had a second-round pick invested in left tackle. They did not try to fix the offensive line. Their plan just stunk. And it's not across the board. Again, I think Thuney and Creed work better when they're in their natural positions versus when part of your plan fails and you have to move Thuney out of his natural spot and then run to all these other issues. But, offensive line is obviously going to be a huge talking point in the offseason. And I'm sure whenever the mock draft sounder all fires up,
oh, boy. Not ready for that.
No, I'm not ready for that. Not today.
No.
But whenever that fires up, whatever time of year that hits, I'm sure offensive line will be at the key at pick 31.
We'll hear from Travis Kelce. We'll get in just a second. Let's get one more call in for now, then we'll work in your calls throughout the show. 913-586-7965. I believe Clifford in Olathe has been on hold for a little bit. Clifford, you're on with Cody and Gold.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Wish it was better circumstances today.
Right.
But I'm just here to kind of defend the defense a little bit because this game was not on the defense, in my opinion, watching that game. The defense forced a red zone turnover, which was crucial. We did have I call it a ghost flag on McDuffie. It's just his hand caught Goddard's face mask, so they threw the flag because the same thing happened on the A.J. Brown OPI also earlier in the game, which left the Eagles on the field, and, of course, you get that first touchdown. The defense made stops, not as many as we probably would like, but they did make stops. They forced some punts, and if you don't look at the total score, yes, the defense gave up 3 touchdowns and 4 field goals. Typically, our offense can overcome that because we're scoring touchdowns compared to their 4 field goals. Unfortunately, the big issue was the offensive line, and they finally cracked under what was, I personally did not give the Eagles defensive line enough credit. They were
I'm with you. I'm right there, man.
They were definitely dominant. So, but real quick, my last point I'd like to point out real quick on offense, you cannot abandon the run game. I think we only had 3 rushing attempts the entire first half. You cannot abandon the run game and expect to win. So, but I just want to take some of that heat off the defense because I feel like people are trying to blame the defense when there's 40 points, but you can't have the defense out for 50 minutes of the game to our 20 minutes or something, whatever the time of possession was. I know the first half was 20-10 Eagles, so your defense is gassed by that point. It was only a matter of time before the big plays started happening. So thanks for taking my call, guys. Have a good one, and in Beach we trust. Look forward to next season.
There you go. Look, I agree with a lot of what he said there. I mean,
it is tough to stop him on defense if you're just on the field for literally every second of the entire first half.
In the second half, they of course had some issues, but in the first half they played well. It was all on the offense. So the mistakes and put the defense in bad spots. Most notably the pick 6. I mean, of course, those are points that don't get charged to the defense, even though you look at the scoreboard. Now, did they get pressure on Jalen Hurts early in the game? No, they struggled to do that. Did that allow some certain things? Yes, but when your offense is sitting at 14 total yards, what do you expect? We will talk about the lack of running in this game and the long-term issues there. Like, I think, not to talk draft or anything like that the day after the Super Bowl, but it's time for them once again to find an explosive running back. And you can say, well, every team wants one. Yeah, but that needs to be part of this
and
offense
Alex doesn't mean like trade up for Ashton Jinty and pick 14. He just means
no. I mean, I would like him on the team, but not what it's going to take to get him. The point
what
is,
if he fell to 31? Then are you in? You back to a first-round running back again?
I don't know about that, but the point is, like, I think it's very evident. Like, Kareem Hunt did an unbelievable job for this team to get them in the position they were and coming off the street, and it's a great story and everything like that. Pacheco will be on this team in some fashion next year, but they need a younger, fresher, more explosive running back. That's part of one of the many, many things we can talk about for the offseason. All right, I want to talk about Kelce for a second because I don't know if you guys agree. I think his future is even cloudier now because at one point during the game, we were all texting, and I was like, there's no way he walks out like this, right? And that was 24-0 at that time. And we were all like, I don't think so. But then hearing his comments, hearing Patrick Mahomes kind of say, someone asked, hey, Mahomes, give your pitch to keep Kelce. And he's like, well, I'm going to leave it up to Travis and all this. I don't know. I think it's really tough. We know $15 million or so is what is the cap hit.
Go out like this?
Here's what Kelce said to the media in the locker room after the loss.
Hats off to the Eagles, man. They got after us. All 3 phases.
What was the difference in the game, do you think, at the end of the day?
Couldn't get it going offensively. They just got after us on all 3 phases. And then on top of that, turnovers, penalties, playing behind the sticks on offense is just drop passes, not taking advantage of, the play call and executing. There's a lot that goes into it. You don't lose like that without everything going bad. So
what's most shocking about this?
That we haven't played that bad all year.
Did they do anything that surprised you guys at all? No. Keep everyone going on the sidelines. Was it difficult today?
Just couldn't find that spark, couldn't find that momentum. This team is going to fight till the end forever, and you saw that even with the score late. We're always going to fight.
You talked to some of those guys over there and kind of found the guys you wanted to talk to. What was your message to them?
Congratulations.
Feel like at halftime it was totally within reach.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, never lose doubt, never lose faith, in, especially at half.
What was Coach's message to you guys afterwards?
This one's gonna hurt. Let it hurt and figure out how to get better because of it. Have a good one, guys.
So that was some of what Travis Kelce had to say to the media in the locker room last night after the loss. I think, I don't know if he even knows still. And we said that before, what his future is going to be.
I think he's going to evaluate it, right?
Yeah, his roster bonus decision is early March, mid-March. They can always push that back and everything. But I don't know. I'm supposed to give you a definitive answer at Sports Talk Radio. I know this one. I think it's a coin flip still. I don't know, man. I think it's cloudier than what it was even before the game because part of me is there's no way he wants this to be the lasting memory he has as a Chief. But the other point, I'm what's to say next year they don't make it to a Super Bowl, which is very plausible.
Can't feel any worse than this, can it? But losing in a Super Bowl, then losing in a AFC title game or whatever else you can concoct could certainly be there. But I don't think he knows. The more I hear him talk, the way Patrick Mahomes was talking after, the lead up to it, even just in interviews with his brother, who did quite a bit of media coverage going into it. And I'm sure they'll have a New Heights episode. I don't know if they'll have it on this Wednesday. They probably will. Or if they will next week. I don't think he knows the answer. I think he wants to sit down and actually make a decision. If I were him, this is not how I'm going out.
Yeah.
I am not going out getting blown out in a Super Bowl. And I'll have ultimate faith that I'll be back in the Super Bowl next year because all the other things are still true about the Chiefs' odds to win a Super Bowl next season. They had, as Joshua Briscoe, our Chiefs insider, correctly pointed out, or our Chiefs contributor had pointed out, it had been 1,100 days in between playoff losses for the Chiefs.
Crazy.
1,100 days in between the last playoff loss and this one. So, it had been a long-ass time since they lost a playoff game as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. So, he doesn't, he barely probably even remembers the last time they lost in a playoff game. All the normal, they're always in the AFC title game. They've been to the Super Bowl 5 out of the last 6 years. In his mind, he's well, we'll be back in the game next year, and let's just see where it goes. And we don't know. We don't know where the next stage of the dynasty is going, but for Travis, I would just be convinced, I'm going to take another bite of the apple. I just don't know. But he wasn't effective in this game. In the previous game, I thought he played really well and he blocked and the numbers didn't add up to catches and yards.
Let's be honest, nothing offensively was good. I
understand. Was that Travis?
You can look at the box score and say Worthy had a huge day and that's promising going forward and everything. But otherwise, there was nothing, right? I think, and Texter just texted in as well, and if you watch the video of the post game or you just watch the sideline, they said they thought Kelce looked shell shocked. I think everybody was. I think the team was. I'm sure you guys. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I was in shock. Not that they lost, Not that they were trailing, it's how dominating of a performance it was. You mentioned his brother, though. You mentioned Jason, who obviously does all the ESPN coverage over the week, in addition to New Heights. Part of me wonders, seeing that Jason Kelce stepped away maybe 1 year too early, that, oh man, if you were on the team, you might have had a second ring. Mm-hmm. And that's a big what if, okay, and hypothetical. But does that
they were going to be worse on offensive line if Jason was starting
Jason
last night,
Kelce lost wild card weekend a year ago to the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they got embarrassed in a wild card game. Mm-hmm. He retires. Then the Eagles come back this year. They go and they win the Super Bowl. I wonder, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I wonder if you're Travis, if that man, am I walking away too early? Like Jason maybe thought it was over for him, and they just came in. He would have had a second ring. Do I want to walk away? And I don't know. Now the whole team is going to look different next year anyway, and that's what I think is a little more complicated about it too. Yes, Mahomes will, his best buddy Mahomes is still the quarterback and everything. Andy Reid's still the head coach. But if you're Travis, knowing that there's at least, I feel like I can rattle off 10 to 12 names automatically. I think are guaranteed not back next year.
Yeah. I don't know if it's. Yeah.
I think. No, I'm not even talking about like random guys. I'm talking about even like. There's some big names.
Sky, yeah. Well,
I wouldn't even think in Sky Moore. He's going to be in training camp with. I'm thinking like the Charles Omenahues of the world. Turk Warden.
You think Trey Smith's gone?
Obviously, D Hop, Hollywood Brown, all guys that potentially are very
Kareem
likely.
Hunt.
Yeah, keep going. There's a lot. It's going to be a much different roster. Yeah. And I wonder if that impacts his decision. There's a lot of things there.
Yeah, a lot of different faces, a lot of different names changing, and certainly the wide receiver unit will look different a year later. But it's. I wouldn't want to go out like that. So for that to be the last taste of an NFL football game. Like in a lot of ways, I'm not kidding. I'd rather be Jason and losing the wild card round. Get blown out in the Super Bowl and be like, well, that's all she wrote.
They also got dominated, though. That's what I'm wondering. Like, if talking to Jason, if like that,
you can't let that make a decision. You got to look at your entire career, and your entire career is everything you did, every moment you had. And
if you're Kelce, if you're Travis, like, do you want to go through the grind that is St. Joe all over again, training camp, and another 18-week schedule, and like just knowing the physical toll it takes?
Mm-hmm. Mahomes addressed that in post game when he was asked about it again. Like he was asked about it. He gave a longer answer. He was like, I mean, it's a grind. Like it's up to him to figure out. To me, it looked like Travis was also pissed. Because there was, I'm sure. Because early on, Mahomes missed him twice for a first down. Like they only had one first down. I think they didn't cross the 50 until after the first half.
Right.
It was the third quarter, almost the end of the fourth quarter when they crossed.
They had a 3rd and 9 where Mahomes was behind him and he found the pocket. Travis did in the middle. Mahomes was through behind him, and then there was a 3rd and short where I think Travis had just stopped, like did a little hook or something like that, and Mahomes there was a miscommunication again.
Everything was off. Everything was off.
To me, it was shell-shocked, I guess, but he looked for the first time, I think, legitimately pissed off. Like he was just like, what is going on? He was not happy.
Kudos to Jalen Hurts, by the way, who now, as a result of this, immediately shoots ahead of any quarterback who you've been kicking around the names of in the AFC side. He's been in the league 4 years. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, and he's beaten Patrick Mahomes.
He's got a ring.
He outplayed him in the first one. He outplayed him in this one, too, but I don't, it was less of a factor than the way he did it. So he's got a ring. He's got 2 Super Bowl appearances. No offense. Like, some of this is a counting stat thing. Some of this is the length of time thing. If your name is Allen, Burrow, Lamar, any quarterback on the NFC side, he gets to be above you now. That's the way bragging rights work. Yeah, that's the way this counting system works.
He's number 2 in the league then,
yes,
behind Mahomes.
He's the second best quarterback in the league right now. Look, it's a movable thing. I understand. Someone's going to be like, it's still Josh Allen. If he didn't have to face Mahomes in the regular part, maybe it's different.
Like, it's the day after the Super Bowl, so I'm not trying to be a hater at all. Jalen Hurts deserves ultimate props. He's not even 27 years old yet.
Yeah.
And as you just laid it out, 2 trips already and a ring, and he beat the guy that everybody's chasing. So that automatically puts you in a different category. I'm totally with you, and he deserves every single good thing that's coming his way
more
today.
Like top 5 to 7, not top 2.
I don't think he's the second best quarterback in the league, though. If you were to go and ask general managers to draft their quarterback for 1 year next year, I don't think Jalen Hurts is the second quarterback off the board, and that's how I kind of try to think of it. Everybody thinks of it differently, but like, that's how I try to think of like when I'm ranking up the quarterbacks.
Every team
if every GM was being honest and for 1 year, and the money wasn't a problem, but 1 year could just draft quarterbacks. Mahomes would still be the first pick. Jalen Hurts, to me, would not be the second pick for the majority of the GMs. I don't believe that. But he's absolutely, I would have to pull up our notes from the summertime.
He'd be fifth or sixth.
He goes from, let's say you had him 9th or 10th. He's now fringe top 5. Yeah.
His playoff stats are incredible. He's got a good winning percentage. He wins a huge chunk of his games. He plays well in them. The team plays well with him. Same thing with Sirianni. I told you, I was always clouded by the fact that I think he is a jerk. And that's not going to change as a result of that. But like,
he's got a ring already too.
Yeah,
man.
He's got a ring too. He's only been in the league a handful of years and as a head coach. And yeah, sometimes they look to fire you and then don't. And look, a couple of years from now, they can look to fire you again, like they did with Doug Peterson. Doesn't mean you're safe just because you get to the one. And Hurts is going to have to keep doing it.
Yeah, he'll have a new OC again next year.
But Hurts has no one in his way the same way in the NFC, unless they're getting year 2 from Jaden Daniels, which they might. And maybe he'll step into the conversation and cause a real problem for the Eagles. Outside of that, the quarterback controversies over on that side and the quarterback conversations over on that side are way different. The path for Jalen Hurts and this team to keep winning are easier, way easier.
Think about that. Not to talk too much just about the Eagles individually in Kansas City the day after, but like that NFC East now. So Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, obviously he looks like a real dude to deal with going forward. And Jalen Hurts in that division. The Giants are a mess. The Cowboys are a mess. Like, it's just kind of crazy to think about that, the path. And we had a discussion after Jaden Daniels won to get to the NFC title game and face Jalen Hurts. We were like, man, if you're Jaden Daniels, we felt like he has a better path and is more likely to get rings than Burrow, Jackson, and Allen. Well, that complicates it for Jaden Daniels now that Hurts has one. But, like, those two dudes might be running the NFC for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing applies in the AFC. You still have to get past Mahomes. And then when you do that, now you have to go up against a guy like Jalen Hurts, maybe, who's already been in 2 Super Bowls, or a guy like Jaden Daniels, who's a rising star. Like, it's not going to be – there are enough really, really good starting quarterbacks in the NFL that it's just not going to be easy.
Up next, we get to the 11 o'clock hour here on a Monday on 96.5 The Fan. I want to talk about something I don't think a lot of people want to acknowledge. The devastating blow to last night, not just in the media, but the long-term discussion about this dynasty the Chiefs are in the middle of. We'll do that next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Alex Gold here, once again thinking about the amazing folks at Max Motors. 7 locations throughout Kansas and Missouri. And I'm thinking about them because of this cold weather, right? And I know if you don't have a 4x4 vehicle, that the snowstorms that we still are going to end up having can be a pain. It's hard to navigate, get to your location, your work, your normal routine that you have to deal with. Think about having a brand new 4x4 vehicle. And right now at Max Motors, where they offer the best financing options in the Midwest with the max trade-in values, well, you can get into a new 2024 Ram 2500, which is right now up to $17,000 off MSRP. Stock number BF7880. Or a new 2024 Jeep Compass 4x4, starting at $22,995. Stock number 90144. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 3/3/25. And if you're considering trading in a vehicle, well, Max Motors is the best place to go for that as well, because they have the best financing options available with the max trade-in values in the Midwest. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car, maxmotors.com.
Stop. 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 Okay, that's enough of that. Kick out mucus and quiet the cough with Mucinex DM 12-Hour. Each bi-layer tablet suppresses your cough and treats the cause of your chest congestion by kicking out the excess mucus living rent-free inside you. And the best part? It lasts 3 times longer than 4-hour medicines, so you can get back to the things you love for longer. Buy now at your local retailer. Use as directed.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly
costly. GiveMeTheVin.com salutes the movies. Director John Ford's Western film classic Stagecoach propelled a young actor named John Wayne to superstardom on this day in 1939. For a cowboy actor, John Wayne's taste in cars was surprising. His 67 Buick Sport Wagon, 72 Pontiac Grand Safari, and 66 Harvester Travelall were the full-sized SUVs of his day. And Gimme the Vin wants to buy your SUV. You'll get a great offer fast from America's best car buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
This is Larry Ryan at Ryan Lawn and Tree. And right now, before the leaves fill in, it's a great time to care for your trees. You can also save 15% on our tree services, but only if you book before March 1st. Save 15% today at ryanlawn.com/tree.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar! La, 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 la.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Once again, that's Indeed.com/credit.
Head home with The Drive. Weekdays starting at 2 on 96.5 The Fan, KFN, CFM, and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you on your home for Kansas City Sports, 96.5 The Fan. We'll continue to take a look at your text and calls, 913-586-7965, 913-586-7965. There's the obvious shortcoming of not getting the three-peat, and therefore it has an impact on how we talk about and how people will talk about nationally this dynasty. Because heading into the game on Sunday, if the Chiefs would have three-peated, if the Chiefs would have won, I think they would have been the best dynasty in NFL history, and I think they would have been right there as the best dynasty in sports. We talked about the comparisons to NBA and why I felt like a football team would have the advantage over an NBA team, given the fact it's one game. You have one bad game versus you have a bad game in a best-of-7 series. You can overcome that. Of course, that to me is obviously done now for the time being. You cannot come in here today and try to act like they have the best dynasty in the NFL, and certainly not the best dynasty in sports history. Now, is the run completely over? Time will tell. I don't think anybody should say the run is over yet. Let's see what happens next year. If they have the third best odds to go to the Super Bowl next year. I don't know if they're going to the Super Bowl yet. Let's see what the offseason brings. But if they were to get back to a Super Bowl next year and win it or just get back there, well, then the conversation continues to go. It's not over until they don't go next year. Then we have to, I think, cut a line on the dynasty potentially and see if they start another one, 2 years from now or something like that. But you can't come in after getting your ass kicked like they did and say that they're the best dynasty in NFL history. You can't.
No, but I don't know why it still can't be an argument. 5 Super Bowl trips in 6 years and 3 Super Bowl rings in 5 years is still as good as anybody else has done.
Well, that's why they are a dynasty.
Yeah, but why can't they be in the argument with the best dynasties? I kind of refuse to, in the NFL, not in sports history.
Okay.
I'm not trying to make that argument. So let me just take that one off the table before somebody's like, come on, relax. Had they won, you and I agree that they get to just take that crown in the NFL and they get to do it. I kind of refuse to think that losing in the Super Bowl is somehow worse than before around the 49ers dynasty, they lost by 46 in a wild card game once. Or the Patriots lost in a wild card or a divisional round and got their ass kicked in games leading up to Super Bowls. It's not worse to lose in the final game than it is to get your ass kicked in a game before it. They've still accomplished as much as any team has ever accomplished inside an NFL dynasty. I think what will be truth-telling about it is, it's a tough debate because people are going to throw he played bad in a bad game.
One of the worst Super Bowl performances. That's a fact, unfortunately.
And they're going to do the Joe Montana thing where it's he never even lost one. And there's people who try to use that for Montana instead of Brady, who went to 10 and only won 7. You're like, what do you mean? But he won 7. I don't care. He went to 10. 3-2 is the exact same way Tom Brady started in his first 5 Super Bowls.
We're not talking. I'm not talking about the GOAT conversation. That also is on pause for a decade or so.
Oh, that's definitely on pause.
I'm just So I'm not even talking about Brady versus Mahomes here. We can get into that later. I'm talking strictly from the dynasties in NFL history. As good as any other NFL
dynasty, in my opinion.
They're a dynasty.
They're a top 5, and you sit there at I guess, I don't know, in a lot of ways, if you're a dynasty, because there's only 5 or 6 of them. Steelers, Cowboys, Chiefs, Patriots. I think the Patriots times 2. If you love the Patriots as 1, then I actually think I agree with your argument. And the Patriots are the single greatest dynasty, although I'll say they went a decade in between. So I view theirs as 2 separate bites at the apple. If we look at their separate runs as different, and this is as much as any team has ever accomplished in a dynasty, in my opinion.
Again, and people on the text letter, this is not a Tom Brady Mahomes argument. Separate that. We can do that later. This is not hey, Brady lost and also only had X amount of rings. I'm not debating Tom Brady Mahomes. I am talking about dynasties in the NFL. When you lose in devastating fashion in 2 of them during the run, you cannot do what you could have done with the win yesterday, which was definitively say best dynasty in NFL history. Don't know how you can debate it. You did a three-peat. Nobody has done that. I think that is over, and you cannot make that case. Now, to your point a little bit, I don't think the dynasty is over.
We don't know that.
Let's see what happens. If they don't make the playoffs, if they lose in the AFC title game, if they go to a Super Bowl, all of those things change the path. If they get back to a Super Bowl next year and win it, well, then the dynasty continues, and then all of a sudden, Cody, there is 4 rings in 7 years or whatever it would be at that point in time, and we continue this conversation. Maybe they are the greatest, and maybe this dynasty run continues for another 5 years. I don't know. We're all predicting the future at that point in time. I'm just saying right now, I'm not talking about in Kansas City, and I don't expect every Chiefs fan to agree with me on this or anything. I'm talking about when we view big picture stuff, you have to also view it on and what will eventually be the consensus opinion historically. And when we talk about an MJ LeBron debate, what's the consensus opinion? When we talk about Mahomes and Brady, sure. When we talk about greatest dynasties in sports, not what they feel like in Boston about their dynasty, because I don't give a damn what Patriots fans think. Of course they think they're the best ever. I don't expect that. Just like in Kansas City, I would expect the majority of people to think the Chiefs are the best ever. I'm talking about what will the true honest conversation be. I'm trying to think of what that is, and I don't believe outside of Kansas City anybody is going to agree that they are the best dynasty in the NFL. And I tend to agree with that right now if they don't continue this trek for the next few years.
I just when it comes to the Super Bowl, and I'm not saying, it just feels like weighing too heavy, ass kicked versus lose. Lose is lose. It's the freaking Super Bowl.
I disagree, man.
Losing is losing. You lost it.
Yeah, I don't,
you lost the game.
Not in the legacy stuff, though.
How does it not hurt Tom Brady more to lose when his team was undefeated in a Super Bowl than to lose in an ass kicking?
People bring up Eli beating him all the time.
I know, but as far as the greatest dynasty part, look, the only team to accomplish more as far as total number of Super Bowl rings in the amount of time is the Steelers, who won 4 in a 5 or 6 year period or whatever it was from the mid 70s to the late 70s.
Yeah.
So they still have the argument, in my opinion, is just straight up hardware. Dynasty wise, hardware, they're going to have one more ring during this run unless the Chiefs go and win a Super Bowl sometime in the next year or 2, but probably just a year is about the range of time you get. And again, you probably don't, this is always the difficulty, is it depends on where you draw the fictional lines. Do you give them the first one and then the 2-year absence and then the other 2? And I think in this case you do. I think dynasties have to occur inside of a 5 to 7 year time period. I just don't think that there's any argument that they're not as the thing about the football dynasties. This is what made the 3-peat so special. Had they been able to accomplish it, is they're all kind of the same. Every NFL dynasty looks about the same in a 7-year time period. They go to a bunch of Super Bowls. They win 3 or 4.
But that's kind of the
they
point.
They have the best quarterback. So, like, why can't they have the best dynasty?
I guess that's my
point.
point.
Splitting hairs.
But no, but I think that's my point to a certain extent, Cody, is that they can't claim that. Like, I guess fine. If we're gonna do participation, everybody can claim that they're. My point is, like, you would have been the best dynasty in NFL history, maybe the best in sports history. That is not a case you can make here on Monday, February 10th, 2025. In the future, they have a chance to still do that. But that requires them, of course, getting back again next year and winning it. And that's going to be a massive if.
I just think it's the difference between, like, you can say it, like you said, with absolute definitive, we're the single, and it's a barstool debate. Like, I think I can sit at a table and I can make an argument for why this is just as good as any other dynasty, and they're the best, right? Or whatever, because no team went to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years or whatever. Or the consecutive AFC title game appearances,
and that's fair.
Or anything else.
And that's fair. That's more than fair. I would say, though, and you would have to agree to a certain extent, though, that maybe you don't because you said a loss is a loss. I think it's very difficult outside of Kansas City to discuss it and for people not to also bring up the discrepancy and the way the Bucs and the Eagles dominated them during these games. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I think we cannot like it. Like, I don't like talking about it in that way. But I think if we're being honest with how people are going to perceive the run, the dominating fashion. I'm not talking about Mahomes versus Brady. That's again a separate conversation because Brady, you're right, lost in wild card rounds, got killed by Jake Plummer back in the day. Like, totally. Yeah, I'm talking just from a dynasty thing.
I guess, but that's my question. So, like, let's just go back. They're related but unrelated. I'm leaving Brady out of this for a minute because that's an individual performance thing or whatever. We're just talking about the teams as it relates, right? The team, got wrecked, obviously, in the game last night, and that sucked. So, cool. I got it. Understood. We know we did this. But, like, I don't, like, when I'm having the dynasty conversation like anything else, I don't know why I can't factor in for greatest dynasty that the Patriots missed the playoffs in 1 year or lost by 3 touchdowns in a divisional round. Why is that? Let's just say that losses, the amount in which you lose does matter. Well, in the middle of the Patriots dynasty, they got their ass beat a couple of times in a postseason run. It only matters if it's in the Super Bowl that they got beat or that they just didn't make the playoffs altogether or any of the other stuff in between. And look, the Steelers are probably, if we're just
Steelers
like
is actually
splitting hair, that's probably the argument for the actual answer because they didn't like lose a bunch during the middle. And then I just feel like, well, they didn't even have free agency. Like, what the hell do I care? Like, you know, because like I always kind of view the leagues in kind of a different
argument
view from them.
That argument works both ways too, though, right? Like, because for as much as I agree with you that, hey, it's much harder to keep a team together in the free agency era versus then. There's the other argument if you're playing the other side, which would be, yeah, but they also couldn't improve their team so quickly if they needed an area to fill because there wasn't free agency. Like, you can make an argument on either side. You don't have to agree with it, but like, you can push back on the other hand and say, well, yeah, but those teams didn't have the ability to go quickly fix a problem in the offseason. So it's interesting debate. We can talk more of the Mahomes-Brady part because I think that is a different conversation and how that goes. That is one that is on pause. I think anybody taking a victory lap nationally, especially in New England, that, this now definitively ends the GOAT conversation. It pauses it, absolutely. Like, nobody should be trying to make that comparison today or the next 3 years or 4 years. But let's see what the next decade is. If Patrick Mahomes does go to another 4 Super Bowls and wins 2 or 3 of them, let's have that conversation. But also, there's a chance, like, we're spoiled here, but there's a chance they don't go to one for another 5 years. Then everything changes. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm a little too used to it at this point, but yes, that is technically plausible.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that, but, like, you never know. Like, I think they'll be back over the next couple years at some point, but, you know, like, crazier things have happened in sports. All right, we'll get to the trash today in a little bit. The one thing last night, going back to this individual game, while we can acknowledge that the fact that they were able to mask the O-line deficiencies to the point where they were able to win 15 games and shuffle in Joe Tooney at left tackle, last night I thought Andy Reid, game plan-wise, while, yes, the O-line deficiencies limited it, was terrible. I thought there were mistakes. The team didn't have any energy. I thought they had no interest in running the ball, even when it was not a blowout.
Didn't even try.
It's one thing when you're down 24-0. I get it. You kind of have to abandon it, and you say, "Hey, we got to dig ourselves out of this hole."
At some point, yeah.
But from the get-go, it looked like they had no interest in running the football. Kareem Hunt touched the ball 3 times, for crying out loud. 3 times. Not that he needed to touch it 15 or 20 times. No, and definitely game script didn't dictate that. But they just seemed like they had no interest in doing that. I felt like the energy level across the board was pretty low in terms of the sideline and how just the mentality there for a team that typically doesn't, let a moment seem too big or anything like that. We made fun of I remember the radio host, made fun of the guy that said Andy Reid. Right? Yep. And he said Andy Reid was going to get out coached, and we laughed, and I'll own it. I think Andy Reid got out coached last night. Absolutely.
I am shocked they did not try to do anything different. Is there some reason why they wouldn't go to DJ Humphries? Like, is there some reason to just not run the ball at all? I don't want to go through every single possession here, but here's what they did in the first half. You trying to tell me you couldn't do something different? 4 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, pick 6, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out, halftime. So you're telling me that no amount of just what if we handed Kareem Hunt the football, or what if we put DJ Humphries in at left tackle? I don't care. What if we put Kingsley Suamataia in at left tackle? Are you telling me I've got to be honest, man. That's the kind of first half where there are no bad ideas, and instead they just said, we'll stick with this. The first 15 was a miserable game plan. They thought that they could just stand back.
First play to Juju.
And throw.
It was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They thought they could stand back and throw on the Eagles all day. Yeah. They miscalculated so
They had the best secondary in the league coming into that game.
I know, but they thought, but in fairness, Patrick Mahomes' history against number 1 rated pass defenses, the Chiefs' history against number 1 rated pass defenses, against number 1 or just scoring defenses is pretty good. What was typically, but they didn't adjust, even though they went 3 and out, essentially just to open the game, and then started throwing picks. At some point, you got to alter your line of thinking. I thought this is the worst adjustment game they've had in years.
Offensively, for sure. And I know it's easier said than done watching from home, but you would have thought that if you recognize your quarterback's not having time, where was some of the quick game? Hell, even some of the plays that at times we get annoyed with, but in this game it would have been fine to see if it worked. The quick opportunities to throw the ball just into space in the flat with Xavier Worthy, on a wide receiver screen even. Just some of that. Just to see what you had, and that was never there.
No, he kept standard dropbacks.
There were times where the guys weren't getting open. There were also a few instances, more so in the second half, in fairness, where guys did get open. In the first half, I felt like the first 2 or 3 drives, nobody was open. Then there were some drives later when Mahomes was missing open guys. Yeah. But early on, they to the Eagles' credit, they weren't getting open. But that's what I'm saying is you're waiting for some routes to develop. You didn't have time for that. I'm a little surprised they didn't try to run the ball on the first drive or 2. That's what was a little bit stunning. The offensive line ultimately caused Mahomes to play with happy feet, but the run attack wasn't going to ever be a 95-yard day for Kareem Hunt. Nobody was ever expecting that.
No.
But 3 carries, I don't care how much you're getting your ass kicked. Your starting running back has 3 carries in the game. That. What are you doing? Here's what Andy Reid, by the way, had to say after the game. A little bit about the running game and also just his overall thoughts.
Yeah, listen, too many turnovers, too many penalties. Against a good football team, you just can't do that. Yeah, so Vic does a nice job with that defense. They played well. They got good players and good scheme, and they executed better than what we did. Coached better, starts with me, and they played better. And their defensive line did a nice job. And again, that happens in these games. The lines get magnified there a little bit. Yeah, listen, they all hurt. You get this far, you battled your tail off to get this far. Very, very hard to do. And it's we spent a lot of time doing this. It's not a hobby, right? So we're in it the whole way, and spent a lot of hours doing it as players, as coaches. So it's going to hurt. They all hurt when you get to this level, and these things happen. 3 feet aside or any of that stuff. That you get this far and you don't play as well as you want to. It hurts. Now listen, he did a good job. The guys battled all the way to the end. Did some nice things at the end, but it was too late. Yeah, we went a little no huddle. It didn't work as well as we wanted it to. So yeah, that was one of the adjustments. Well, we got it down.
I know you got it.
Yeah, so we threw the ball probably more than we would want to going into the game, but I felt like it was important that we did that.
Did you think the players felt any pressure with that possible three-peat?
Well, listen, I don't think so. I mean, it's once you're it's hard playing in this. I mean, this is a tough game. It's best against the best, and so I think they're more focused on that than they are three-peats and all that stuff. That wasn't a big issue.
So that was Andy Reid. Yeah, the
last
last
question
question
there.
there.
Three-peat. They got their ass kicked long before that pressure ever kicked in.
That wasn't oh my gosh, they couldn't handle the three-peat pressure. That was just schematically, just domination and personnel-wise domination on the interior of the offensive line.
It was a horribly
really
coached game.
Line of scrimmage. Yeah, it was not a well-coached game. I understand Andy's response to the rushing thing. It was like, well, we got down. They weren't trying to run the ball even when it was still a 1 or 2 possession game. It's very easy, yes. As the game went on, of course, they had to abandon the run. I understand that. 3 carries, though, in the first half. They got down 24-0 later in the first half. When it was still a 10-0 game, they weren't trying to run then. Yeah. So I just don't buy that that was it. And this is, again, we're talking about one game. This is not acting like, oh my gosh, now suddenly he's a terrible coach. No, he had a terrible game plan, and they were outcoached, and did not expect I would say that after a Philadelphia game.
No. No, because it doesn't happen very often, but whatever they saw on tape for 2 straight weeks was just wrong. I think it really boils down to they thought that they had figured out a way to cover their offensive line problems and that they could run the offense they've run over the last couple of weeks. So, it worked against the Steelers. A little bit of a slow start, but it worked against the Texans. Bills didn't cause us any problems. And over the last month, it was the best version of their offense probably at any point this season. And they thought they could just roll into that game against Philadelphia, pass the way that they have been passing the ball, turn it over to Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce and open things up. And after 2 drives, I think, Gold, it was painfully obvious that was not the case. That was not an option, right? This ain't going to work. And then they still didn't run the ball. Or when they did run the ball, it was finally there was a drive. They were down 17-0. And they ran the ball, and it was a negative 2-yard gain.
Pacheco.
And then they ran it again on 2nd and 12. And I'm like, now you're running it 2 times in a row? It's 2nd and 12. And you're down 17-0. Not the time to be like, you know what? Now let's really open up that run game. We'll get him now. You're like, oh, come on.
And it's a small aspect of the game. I'm not saying that. And I know you aren't either.
Have they passed on that 2nd and 12? They're back in it now.
It's a small thing.
They were going to lose the game.
Neither one of us is trying to say oh my gosh, if they just would have ran the ball, they would have won the game. No, nobody's making that argument. No. It's just that from the get-go, it was a bad plan. And their personnel clearly was a mismatch. And admittedly, we were wrong. I think clearly the Chiefs weren't wrong in how they proceeded, but we were wrong with how we talked about this team. And for a team that hadn't lost a playoff game in 1,100 days, yeah, you're damn right I was confident going into the game.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
On
1,100 days?
For a playoff loss.
That's how long they went? 1,100 days in between playoff losses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's nice.
All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
I mean, this better be pretty epically bad.
No,
it's not. Top the game.
No, it's not the halftime show. I'm not going there. We'll get that some point later.
What was that trash of the day?
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's not.
Oh, okay.
No. We'll get to that. I know Drew wants to talk about it. No, I thought the halftime show was good. I don't think it was 11 out of 10 as Drew described to me on the text.
It was 11 out of 10.
I thought it was a very good performance.
It was the best part of the game, maybe.
I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, probably.
Yeah, well, you didn't want to watch it because the team was losing. No, I thought it was a very good halftime show. It was not an all-timer. When you say 11 out of 10, it's like all-timer. I didn't think it was that because I've seen way better productions at halftime before. Even 3 years ago, whatever, in L.A., when they had Snoop and Dre and everybody, that was a better production. This was very keep it simple, play the songs, and that's fine. It was good. It wasn't awful. It was very basic. That's all. Anyway, trash of the day.
Between you two.
Okay, fair enough. The trash of the day is something that this one is. I'm going to make it about me. Actually, I am for the first time on this one. This was a highlight.
Hurts in the shotgun, 3 by 1. He's got A.J. Brown isolated to his left. That is the short side of the field. Snap back to Hurts. He's being blitzed. Wheel route, right side, wide open. 10 inside the 5 to the right front pylon. Touchdown, Philadelphia Eagles. A 27-yard touchdown. It goes to Jahan Dotson.
It wasn't a touchdown.
It wasn't a touchdown. The reason why it's the trash of the day is because first touchdown bet, Jahan Dotson, 75-1. Your guy right here had it. So I'm hearing that look. I'm like, hey, if the Eagles are going to score first, might as well be the guy I have a bet on.
Dang.
So I'm thinking, yes, okay, all right, $750. Let's go.
Good little payday.
Of course, he gets overturned. He was clearly down. I'm not saying it was a bad call, but just
down.
the fact that the
1
touchdown,
yard short,
a good yard. That was the trash because it set the tone for the rest of the game, honestly. Like, looking back, I should have known it was going to be a terrible night for
when
the
you
Chiefs.
Lost out on some cold hard cash.
That sucks. Yeah.
That's a tough one, man.
That was a bad beat. I mean,
probably not a good day for a lot of Kansas City sports bettors because I'm going to guess that you tended to favor Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you bet Xavier Worthy in any way, you probably feel good.
Yeah.
Mahomes technically hit his yardage total over.
The other trash of the day, a lot of people on the text line are bringing up something. They've been bringing it up. A lot of people said that from now on, you and I and this show have to be at the Super Bowl.
I will say I am 3-0 in attendance of Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowls.
That would be accurate. And this is not about that other people shouldn't be there. It's that we got to be there as well. I'm just saying, I agree with you, text line. Whatever we got to do, we have to get second jobs next year or the year after if they get back to make sure we get there. Maybe we'll have to.
I already have a second job. I teach.
Am I
supposed to? I canceled that today, by the way. Did I tell you guys that? I canceled class.
There you go. You didn't want nobody was going to show up.
Honest to God, it just felt like no one was going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I must have got 6 or 7 tweets last night saying, how come you got to make sure you're there in the future? Again, it's not about who shouldn't be there. It's that
we should be.
Yeah. The Chiefs only win when we go.
From the 816, you guys are the only ones from the station allowed to go to Super Bowls from now on.
Yeah.
Look, everyone can go. It's just that we also have to be there.
That's right.
It's more about, as Gold pointed out, our presence than anyone else's. It's just that, we would like to be there as people who are now 3-0 in Chiefs Super Bowl attendance.
Yeah.
It has been, by the way, the 2 we didn't go to.
Thank goodness.
They didn't just lose. They got their ass
Thank
kicked.
goodness. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wasn't like it was a close game. I mean,
nope. Not good. That's the trash of the day.
I thought maybe you were going to say it was the only person who feels better today, and then the only person who feels worse today in Chiefs fans is Drake. He
might have had the worst loss.
They had Drake's ex-girlfriend, who is super famous herself, dancing on his grave at the halftime show.
Serena was.
And by the way, she crushed it.
She did. She killed it.
So, oh, God. And he's just looking at it like, oh, God. He had to watch that. He
got names dropped in the middle of the
He wasn't surprised, though. He knew that was happening.
He said, hey, Drake. Looked right in the camera.
He knew.
And
I hear you like him young.
Jeez.
Put him in a body bag. That's what he did.
God.
He knew. I mean, he obviously knew. I mean, if you're did you even watch if you're him? Did you not watch the game?
I wouldn't.
Oh, no. I guarantee.
I'm not watching that halftime show.
I wouldn't have paid attention at all. No. There's no way.
All right, up next. We'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll talk more about what happened in New Orleans last night, including just how, frankly, miserable of an experience it was for all of us. We'll take your calls. We'll talk this thing out next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Men, maybe you've been feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, maybe noticing a loss of muscle mass. These could be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait. Find out. At the Low T Center, they'll make it easy for you to get your levels checked. It's super simple. You just walk in, easy test, on-site lab. You'll get the results back right there. And it's not your typical doctor's office. The physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient. The reason why I mentioned individual, that means it's a personalized treatment plan optimized for each patient, not just basic standardized treatment plans. And instead, the experts at Low T, for over a decade of experience helping patients, individualize it for you. If you're a current patient over at Low T, they're going to offer you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer over to the Low T Center. And over there, you can get your health evaluated for treatment, prescription GLP-1, weight loss, medications if you're interested as well. So get back to your best. Go to Low T Center. Stop feeling bad about yourself and go to Low T Center to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Scenic views and sweetheart vibes. It's Sweetheart Week at Twin Peaks. Join the fun at your favorite lodge with scenic views wrapped in red and steal your heart specials during the Sweethearts Week costume party, February 10th through Valentine's Day.
Wouldn't you like to take a vacation from your bills? Well, you can. With credit card balances at an all-time high and Golden Oak's 5.25% rate, you could be saving thousands of dollars after a simple phone call. Call today and get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments for 2 months. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Having unexpected car trouble or just in a car accident? Call Jay Southland Tow Service, 816-779-4869 or southlandtow.com. Use the tow service trusted by most local police departments. They can do it all. Be in the know and call Jay's Southland Tow.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
With Target, checking off your Valentine's Day list has never been easier. First, surprise your favorite people with something extra thoughtful, like a soothing candle and a memorable scent, or a decorative picture frame to show off every moment. Both buy one, get one 50% off with Target Circle. And don't forget to treat yourself. Find the sweetest style for your special occasion with 20% off women's dresses now through Friday. This week, find Valentine's gifts for everyone you love, only at Target.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp.
What?
Drew Dixon with you.
What if it was like the Royals half hour and I'm just like, I really like the rotation this year.
Not today, man. Not today.
Cole Reagan's coming back after a great year. What do you think?
not today, man.
Royals half hour.
No, not today.
We could talk about their options at second.
Coping.
We will get to Royals
Just a thought,
very soon with spring training getting on their ways very soon and pitchers and catchers reporting, I think, at the end of the week. Yeah, we will get there. But not today. Unfortunately, we have to talk this one out together. And I fully get it. I texted with you and some friends of mine. They're like, man, like, I may only be checking in every once in a while today. They're like, I can't. I get it. Everybody's going to cope in different ways and deal with it.
Some people like to commiserate and just like live in it.
Look, it sucks for every single one of us in Kansas City today. And not just because they lost in a Super Bowl, and that's always going to be devastating. It's the fashion that they lost, of course. And it's also that we all know what the narrative has been all year outside of KC, and knowing that like any team and franchise that wins as much as the Chiefs have, people were waiting to pounce and waiting for this moment, and they got it. They got their moment. They didn't just get in a loss. They got it in an ass kicking, and that's what makes it sting even more because they got you. They got us. That's the reality.
Talk trash for the next 365 days until they're either a repeat champion or no longer champion.
Yeah, but
until they get knocked out of the playoffs or whatever. They get to talk as much as they want against your team. And you beat them 2 years ago, and you can say, hey, it's 1-1, all things even. We'll see you next time if you won. That's about as good as you can do against the Eagles. Everyone else was
and ultimately,
happy to dance on your grave.
Ultimately, you step back, and the Chiefs have 3 rings in the last 6 years to show for it. And I don't think suddenly they're going to be an 8-win football team next year and just fall off the face of the earth. That's crazy. But yeah, this one's going to sting for a while because of how close they were to making history as well. That they were 4 quarters away from the three-peat. We're gonna take your calls here in a second too. 913-586-7965. Josh and OP, you've been on hold for a very long time, my man. I appreciate it. So I promise we'll get your call here in a second.
But when it's not going to be fun because of the way, not just like the normal amount of fun, because it's not fun anyway, right? Like losing a Super Bowl is not fun. It wasn't fun until they lost the Bucs Super Bowl. They were rooting for your demise. Gold, you had mentioned the stat earlier. It's been 1,109 days since the Chiefs last lost a playoff game. They had went through an entire postseason run 2 years ago and won a Super Bowl, an entire postseason run last year, won a Super Bowl, went through an entire postseason run again this year, and were in the Super Bowl. They were salivating at the possibility of you losing. Bengals fans, Ravens fans, not just the team who won, not just
everybody in the NFL. Let's be real. Everybody outside Kansas City.
Everyone was rooting for your failures. So they're all going to come out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
And they're going to say Mahomes is overrated. And look, just know that it's born in a place of jealousy, even though this is going to suck, because they have the right to dunk on you today. Yeah. Now, I will say, the name of the
game is how it works.
If you're one of these other fan bases, you can get me today. In a week or so from now, if you're still Jamar Chase posting a photo on your Instagram page of the Eagles beating up the Chiefs in a meme, sir, your franchise has 0.
Yeah, well, that's just loser stuff. That's
Super Bowl rings. None. So, like, if you're a fan base of most other teams, you don't have a big leg to stand on. But the rest of the NFL is going to dunk on you today. And yesterday's game was an embarrassment. The Chiefs did not come ready. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl, and that's going to hurt for a while.
And in the 2 times where they've been embarrassed in a Super Bowl, and the fact that they've been to enough Super Bowls where you can be embarrassed twice in a Super Bowl is telling anyway. But it's always been about the offensive line. In their 2 losses, it's been devastating offensive line performances. In Tampa, you could at least say, hey, it's because you had injuries at both your left and your right tackle. This go around, it wasn't injuries. The offensive line was healthy. They just didn't have the right offensive line. They didn't have a left tackle. Let's just call it like it is. They did not develop a left tackle. They still, throughout this, have not been able to do it. I know everybody didn't like Orlando Brown Jr. and all that, but Orlando Brown Jr., he wanted way too much money in Kansas City. He ended up getting less, actually, in Cincinnati after all that. But makes you appreciate, honestly, what you got out of him at left tackle, as much as everybody wanted to beat him up when he was in town. They can't develop a left tackle. That is the one thing, if you're going to pinpoint about Brett Veach, who has been one of the best GMs in football and has had some unbelievable drafts. If there's one thing now that's still out there, there's still something out there that you say, man, can he fix this? Nobody's perfect. Can he fix this issue that his staff has had evaluating? And that's left tackle. That's the offseason discussion that I'm sure we'll have time and time again. Is what the hell are they going to do at left tackle? Because that's now twice in a Super Bowl where your franchise quarterback, even though he did not play, I'm not defending Mahomes, he did not play well at all. But it all started with the offensive line problems. That your 2 losses have been because of the same issue. It can't happen. It shouldn't have happened a second time. It can't happen a third time. And by the way, you can say, oh, that means they're back in the Super Bowl. I'm saying that the next time it happens, it might prevent you from getting to that. It might prevent you the one time in
It'll
the last...
stop you in the game before.
It'll prevent you from winning your 11th AFC West title or something. Like, that has to be an issue. You fix the issue is, on top of it, you're picking 31st in the draft again. So we'll have our offseason, I'm sure, conversations about the draft and everything as weeks and weeks go on. You're not... You're probably not drafting a starting left tackle at pick 31. Hell, they tried to draft one in the second round. That didn't work out with Kingsley. This will be the conversation. Do they have to trade up picks to move up higher? Do they have to trade picks to go get an established left tackle like they did with Orlando Brown Jr. a couple of years ago? That's what makes it sting more, is that it's the same conversation, Cody, we had many years ago, and we're doing it again. It's about the offensive line. It's not because the receivers failed them. No, we thought that was going to be it a year ago. Oh, the receivers, they're not good enough. That'll fail them. No, it's never been the receivers failing them. It really hasn't been the defense, other than the first, going way back, Bob Sutton's final year. It's been the O-line during this run that has ever stopped them.
It's consistently been the single biggest issue. It makes me regret back when they tried so hard and got so close to signing Trent Williams, and he just wanted to go back to San Francisco. Like, damn, you guys should have offered whatever the hell you could have. And look, this is credit to Howie Roseman, but this is the problem with not just winning at the level the Chiefs do, but the consistency in which they do it. As in, there are no even down or mediocre years. Part of the reason the Eagles, and this is to their own credit for drafting well even when they're picking the high, because it's easy to screw up the pick. Their down year the year before is why they got to pick 9th to get Jalen Carter, right? And actually, that was because of a trade, right? So you got to make trades sometimes with bad teams, similar to what the Chiefs will get to do at picking at the top of the third round. Devonta Smith was pick 10. You got to choose some, and you still got to get those picks right. But they've gotten to pick in the top 15 3 times in the last 6 years, 7 years. Chiefs haven't gotten to do that. That's not where they've been. That's not where their franchise has been. They're picking at 31, 32 every year. So unless you're going to make a Tyreek Hill style trade that got you high enough in the draft that got you guys like Trent McDuffie, you have to do more of that, more turnover if you want to get higher in the draft, or you're going to have to package more picks together and take a swing. Because one time, that's the only way to solve tackle, in my opinion. There are 2 options remaining. Trade for someone's very established tackle and take the swing, or trade way the hell up in the draft and risk years worth of mortgaging future picks in order to finally shore up the one spot. You're right, has cost you in the Super Bowl twice.
913-586-7965. We'll take your texts and calls. Reaction to the Chiefs coming up short, to say the least, against the Eagles in Super Bowl 59. Josh, we appreciate it, man. You've been on hold for a while.'re on with Cody and Gold.
Hey, listen, I had a lot of material. You were cooking. I was going to let you cook. It sounds like, you weren't cooking on DraftKings, but you sure as hell were cooking today with your points. A couple of things just to kind of go off of what you're talking about. I think Cody was kind of missing the point on your dynasty talk. So, you can throw in, hey, the Chiefs are, one of the great dynasties to be formed, but you can't really say they're the greatest. They win this three-peat, you rocket to the top, like you said. There's no question. You have that card that you can play hey, listen, we won 3 in a row. Did you do that? Nope, I don't think so. So you go to the top of the list and you have that card. And I think that's why it hurts so much today. We're spoiled. Listen, we're spoiled in Kansas City. We've been, this third straight Super Bowl, we can't complain. But when you're in this situation, you have this kind of opportunity to do something that's never been done. We were talking about it last year after we won. We're like, hey, listen, we got a chance to do something that's never been done next year. Let's do it. When you're in that situation and you lose, it's a killer, because then you don't know, what's going to happen now. Yeah, you can toss in, well, the Chiefs are still, one of the great dynasties, but you don't have that card where you say we are the best dynasty. We did something that's never been done. So I think that's kind of what hurts the most. And to that point, it's incompetence. How do the coaches see this line? I get it. We were winning games this year. We were, by the skin of our teeth, pulling out games we probably shouldn't have pulled out. We were getting, the ball was rolling in weird ways, rolling our way. How do the coaches see this offensive line, especially after the Tampa Bay Bucs Super Bowl, a couple of years ago? How do they see this offensive line and say, yeah, we're going to roll with it? We got Pat. I think we'll be okay. I think you're in a situation to do something that's never been done. You're rolling with this offensive line after you get dominated in the Bucs Super Bowl a couple of years ago. You don't learn your lesson. What are we doing? I have no idea. And that's what hurts the most, I think, is because we were there. We were there, and I mean, I think a lot of us saw it. We just didn't want to admit it. Like, man, this line has a lot of holes, but hey, we're winning. Maybe Pat can pull a miracle. You can't always win like that. And so, I mean, I think, again, we're spoiled, but to be in this situation, I'll end my call with this, the last point. You don't want to overreact, right, after a game like this. There's a lot of overreactions. You don't want to throw out hot takes. But I'll tell you, Andy, sometimes I don't like these scripted play calls like you were talking about earlier, these 15 plays, 20 plays, whatever it is that he writes down. If you see after 5 of them, 4 of them, it's not working, why are you continuing to go down that list? Where, like you said, where is the quick passes? Our line can't block. Why is Andy still having Pat drop back there 5-10 feet waiting for a play to develop when he has no time? We were dominating some teams throughout the year when we were doing quick throws. Where was that this game? Like you said, I mean, again, you were cooking, and I agree with everything you're saying. Where were the quick throws? Why are you sticking with the script of 15 plays? Like, it's Andy calling the plays. Again, I don't want to overreact, but I'm ready for some new blood. Get a coach in here that's, going to spice things up, like, a Johnson, one of these younger guys that know what they're doing. Let somebody have a chance to call the plays.
I got to let you go,
again,
Josh.
I don't want to overreact,
I appreciate it, man. I got to let you go. I appreciate it, man. I let you go a little longer because you were on hold for like an hour. So I let you go longer than normal. I appreciate it. A lot there. Real quick, the thing at the end, like Ben Johnson has a head coaching job, so he's not coming to be an OC after being an OC in Detroit. So that's the last part I'll just kind of ignore.
Sure.
Other than that, I think you made some good points until the end.
The problem is when you win 15 games, it is really, really, really hard to look yourself in the mirror and be like, well, we can't do it again. All they did was win. They overcame their single biggest issue all season long until they didn't. I think that's a tough one. I get what he's saying, but like it's difficult to be like, well, we better to make wholesale changes right now when it's holding together.
Well, the only thing I was going to say, that's talking about the offensive line, how it happened now twice, Bucks and Eagles Super Bowl. How does this happen again? The only pushback I would give on that, Josh, would be they did completely revamp the O-line after the Bucks Super Bowl.
And it led to a couple of Super Bowls.
And obviously they had success. This year, let's just call it like it is. They whiffed. They thought they addressed left tackle. They did. It didn't work. They did. They thought they addressed it. It looks silly now, but like they thought drafting Kingsley and still having Wanye in the fold, they thought that would work. They were wrong. They were wrong.
Teams make mistakes. They whiffed.
And ultimately they had to move their all-pro left guard to left tackle. And to their credit, within that, they tried to make the best out of a problem, and they got pretty quality play at left tackle, high quality play at left tackle at times, even in the playoff against Houston and against Buffalo. But against a defensive front with 2 weeks to prep, we underestimated what the Eagles could do. I think I don't know if the Chiefs underestimated. It's not like they could go sign someone midweek, but they obviously were going to roll with what had got them there. And what had got them there was Joe Thuney, and he wasn't good enough. Mike Caliendo, not good enough. And that's where the offseason comes into play, and it's going to be a huge, huge focus. Is it possible to go out either via the draft or free agency to shore up the left tackle spot? And a lot of it will be dictated by what do they decide to do with Joe Thuney or Trey Smith.
But
because they're not both on the team next year.
No, but also like and Joe Thuney is a future, I think, Hall of Fame left guard. Obviously, he's not that at left tackle. That's a different job, and it's hard pressed for me to get mad at Joe Thuney now. They asked him to step out of his normal position in order to save an offensive line that was struggling, and goes back to the same thing. It wasn't from a lack of trying. They drafted Kingsley Suamataia, they missed. They realized they had a problem, so they switched to Wanye. That wasn't going to work. They then went to go get DJ Humphries. He immediately got hurt. That wasn't going to work. So they had to go to the break glass in case of emergency option, which was Thuney. And it looked like it was stable enough to not burn you. It burns you. It burns you. They missed multiple times in a row. They kept trying to solve the problem. Like the notion that they thought the offensive line was fine, I would refute that.
Just they clearly knew they had a problem.
Yeah, they kept trying and
one
trying
that they created, right?
Oh, yeah.
One they created, but that's the reality of how this whole thing works. And somehow they still won 15 games with that. It's actually, as you said earlier, it's almost remarkable to step back and how the hell did they win 15 with the issues on the O-line? But in the biggest game, when you have a team as good as the Eagles that had time to prep, they got you. And it's like, how did Buffalo not take advantage of it? How did it's actually kind of stunning. If I was in Buffalo today, I would be one of the top conversations I'd be having on my radio show in Buffalo. Be like, how
bad is our defensive line?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? That version of it. Can I ask why? What a weird statistical, I don't know if it's anomaly at this point, that no team who's won 15 or more games in a regular season standpoint from the NFL has ever won the Super Bowl? They're over. Every single team.
How many has there been?
Like 6.
Man.
It's like the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were a 15-win team, the Patriots when they were undefeated, the Chiefs at the 15 wins. Now, every single team who's won 15 or more games in the regular season is over in the Super Bowl. Not to say they haven't gone to the Super Bowl. Some have, some haven't.
Mm-hmm.
No wins.
Weird.
Not a single Super Bowl win out of every 15-win team across the board. And you're like, how 15 or more? Like, how?
That
how
gets
does
back
this
to
keep
the
happening?
I'd have to dive deeper into the other teams. I think another thing that was apparent last night, besides just the line of scrimmage being dominated, they look just worn out. So what you're bringing up the number of games. Like,
I mean, once they were getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, some of it was probably just deflated because of just how the game was going. But they looked worn out. They looked like a slow, worn out team that had played 20 games a year for 4 years or whatever it's been. Like that. It kind of looked like that at times. 913-586-7965. Neil in Lone Jack, you're on Cody Gold.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments that everybody else has gone over a little bit, but I agree. The last caller had a lot of good points. He lost me at the end like he lost you guys with the coordinator stuff a little bit, but he had great points about when you get that opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. I do believe they did what they tried to fix the offensive line. I agree with your point about Kingsley, and then obviously they went out and got DJ, and I agree that DJ probably I'm going to trust Andy and believe in Andy that DJ just wasn't healthy enough to go back to him. But the one thing I'll never be able to live with is the fact that they did not try to run the ball sooner. I think that's on Andy and that's on Patrick. Patrick trying to be Superman and Andy letting him try to be Superman was probably the biggest mistake in the game during the game. I think I agree with you guys. The defense, I think, was good enough in the first half for sure to keep us there and give us a chance. Patrick screwed it up, sadly, and that really does. I agree. Going back to the legacy points, it's probably the most frustrating thing about the game is that we were right there at the precipice of history to do something nobody's ever done before and to not only lose the opportunity, but to get destroyed the way they did. It's just really frustrating for me because the legacy of Patrick, Andy, Chris Jones, Travis, all of them, and especially for Patrick to be able to catch Brady, that game was crucial. And to lose that opportunity and to lose it the way he did lose it, I think if they lost a close game, Patrick still has the fact that they were there and Brady never got there. So Patrick would still have it as his holster. But the fact that they did not adjust and not try to run the ball enough and try to change the momentum of the game by doing that is inexcusable. But last point I want to make really strongly is about a lot of people have talked about the defense and how they did worse. They were incredible against the run. They did what they were supposed to do against Saquon. And I thought the game plan on defense in general was exactly what I thought it should have been. I trusted that McDuffie was going to be better against A.J. Brown in this game than he was in the first Super Bowl, and I trusted that Jalen Watson and McDuffie were going to get it done on the outside, and they just simply weren't good enough to do that last night. And then the defensive line, as good as they were against the rush, they just didn't get enough pressure. So it was good and bad for the defense. I thought overall they were good enough to give us a chance if Patrick and Andy had been able to adjust or weren't. I feel like they were stubborn and they didn't adjust to trying to run the ball. There's no guarantee we were going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I got
the way Philadelphia was playing, but they didn't even try. And forever, I won't get over that one.
I'm with you.
Guys.
Thanks, Neil. You too, man.
We agree. Like, they abandoned the run. And by the way, I got that stat wrong. I apologize. It was like since 1985 or whatever.
So there has been teams.
Two. Okay. The 49ers and the Bears in 84 and 85. Since then, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams since then. 15 wins who haven't been able to do it. Vikings, Steelers, Packers, Panthers, Chiefs, Lions, and Patriots have all had 15 or more regular season wins since 1998 and didn't win the Super Bowl. There were 2.
And
the
now,
49ers and the Bears
now with
the
additional games, we'll see it happen a little bit more often, I still think.
Probably because, you get 18 games to do it. The run part's the most frustrating part. But also, like, I'll just be honest. Like, I am frustrated by it. I know we'll talk more about it in the show. They could have run the ball 10 straight times the first 10 plays. The way the Eagles' defensive line dominated that game.
Why they lost.
I don't know that there's like I don't know if there's a way I can manipulate this game.
They were never winning
the
game.
You max protect?
Like
if they play this game 10 times now and you know what happens in the first one, they get 2? Like, I'm 1?
No, Cody, no. I think that's
0?
the thing. And this is where we have to eat some crow on this a little bit. You know, it's like, did not think that defensive front was going to be able to dominate the way they did. So to answer your question, like if they play in 10 times, no, with the exact same personnel and everybody's healthy the way they were, no, the Chiefs don't win those. And you're like, oh, come on. No, that it sounds so basic, but the line of scrimmage was that dominated by the Eagles. You don't win football games if you're getting dominated at the most basic level. Like maybe Mahomes doesn't throw a pick 6 in all 10 of those games, all right? Fair. But the offensive line and how they handled they could have played. They could play tomorrow and they were fully healthy. The offensive line would get destroyed again with the exact same thing, man. Like there was no.
That's why I said once. Like is it just like
it sucks, but like like we'll continue to go through this throughout. We'll take your calls and texts in the noon hour as well, but.
At the very least,
frustrating
even
day
if
in
it's
Kansas
just
City, obviously. Oh yeah, look, 4 hours of therapy for you and I as well, man. You know, we can talk this thing out. We're in the same boat. It sucks, obviously, uncharted territory to a certain extent, based off of, as we said earlier, 21 losses, 21 shows after losses. That's it. That's all we ever done.
And I didn't even do some of those shows. I wasn't even here on Christmas last year.
Yeah, some of those would have fallen in. It's probably less.
I might have only done like 15.
It's like
I missed a couple of those. I wasn't on after the.
True. Dude, can we get a tight shot on Cody's camera for a second?
Why?
Are you bleeding or do you
have? So yeah, I clipped my mouth when I was talking. Yeah, I'm okay.
I was like, what is going on? All of a sudden I was like, is it? Then I'm like, well, maybe he's eating Doritos or something. Like I was like, you're all right. I looked because all of a sudden
I hit myself in the mouth.
Yeah, because you started talking, and at first I didn't say anything. I'm like, you just had like bright red coming from the corner of your mouth. What is going on?
I think I'm okay.
All right,
we'll survive.
Okay.
I did go to a single shot of Cody.
All right. Anyway, we'll get to what's trending, and we'll talk more about Patrick Mahomes and just what cannot happen moving forward. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
March is almost here, and college basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from those conference clashes to tournament upsets and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Drowning in IRS debt? If you can't afford to pay your IRS debt due to economic hardship, you can now be free of IRS collection efforts by taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-514-1026 if you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns. Help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-514-1026 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-514-1026 to see if you qualify. That's 800-514-1026.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature-Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This is the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Royals baseball. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Obviously, number one on What's Trending. The Chiefs fall 40-22 in the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles. We're talking the whole show, taking your calls and texts about the dominating performance by Philadelphia. The Chiefs come up 4 quarters short of doing something that's never been done in the Super Bowl era, and that, of course, was three-peating. And let's just be real about it. Like, you're not having another chance at a three-peat. This was it. This was your one shot.
I think so. I don't think you get multiple bites at that apple.
I mean, there's only been, in NFL history, there's only been a couple shots, period, let alone with one team, one dynasty, one quarterback. So that part of it is what really, really stings, is like you had a chance to just be able to do something and have that forever. And it's still a great dynasty, but you didn't get the three-peat.
2/3 of college basketball. That's next up on What's Trending. Had a bad weekend as well. MU lost their second straight game after falling in a close one to Texas A&M. And KU lost to K-State, although good weekend for K-State, who's on a real hot streak right now in Big 12 play. They get an easy win over KU in a game in which they controlled 98% of the action, I would say, at least for a good majority. Barely turned the ball over, had complete control, and are playing their best basketball all season. The question is still a problem for K-State, which we'll talk about now. The football season's over. Too little, too late? Can they do they have to win the Big 12 tournament? Can they win enough of these Big 12 games in order to make the thing? Because Kansas will be in the NCAA tournament. MU will be in the NCAA tournament. The question is, can K-State do enough now that they're playing really good basketball to find themselves back in it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate. I think they would have to win the Big 12 tournament to get in. I think they dug themselves too much of a hole. They look like a completely different basketball team, though. They're playing as good as anybody in the country right now. Credit Jerome Tang and what they got going. But I think they got off to such a bad start that the hole might be too big to dig out of. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
5 in a row.
Yeah. Next up on What's Trending, just some media news today. Dan Orlovsky was on ESPN. He hinted about an uncertain future there. He said, quote, "I'm taking a break. Won't be on TV for a long time. Never know what the future holds, but I'm taking a break. Just want to say thank you." He was talking to Stephen A. And Shannon Sharp and stuff. I don't know if is he going to try coaching. We know he's had interest in that. Is he going to try being is he we're going to find out he's like the OC for Kellen Moore in New Orleans or something? Like, I don't know. Or his contract's just up and he's just not wanting to do the TV thing anymore. I don't know.
I can't blame him, but I saw Sirianni being like, "Come on, please stay, Kellen.
Yeah,
we're begging you."
Later on today, I think that'll be officially or tomorrow officially announced that Kellen Moore will be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What a tough job that is, though. Whew. Oh,
I did see. I don't know if this is good for Philadelphia couples or relationships. They'll be hosting their Super Bowl parade, which none of us are going to watch, on Friday,
I don't care.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's a weird day to host.
Interesting one, right?
Kind of ruins the Valentine's Day, right? All day you're camped out or whatever, waiting, and then traffic in the city trying to get to
You're not getting back to
restaurants.
that restaurant you were trying to get to downtown. The whole city will still be shut down.
And I know it's Philly. It's obviously a way bigger city, but I don't know. Yeah, I will not be paying attention to that. I don't know about you guys. We can cut the music. That's what's trending. I did not. Once the Gatorade bath happened, once the
TV off.
Yeah, I did not need to watch the podium stuff. That's just normal reaction. Anybody else? Like, we can't be alone. Some of you might have shut the TV off after it was 24-0. I don't know, but like, there was no way I was going to watch Nick Sirianni on the podium. No way. That wasn't going to happen.
I don't like the guy. I stand by this. Like, fans are all different. There are going to be so many people that enjoy. Like, there are going to be Philly fans still that listen to this show today and be like, just soaking up.
Yeah, look, it's normal, man.
Soaking
Same
up.
thing.
No,
I'm
I'm kind of that way.
I'm sure there's a radio station in Philly that's checked in on the show today, and they probably pulled some audio. It happens. The name of the game. I get it. Obviously, the Eagles were great last night. Absolutely great. Misjudged this game, and it sucks. It stings right now. Absolutely.
Does it give you any solace at all to know that there's not a single franchise that would have traded places with you over the last 5 years, or no? That do anything for you?
Not today, it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, once we get out of this,
over time.
Yeah, once we get out of today and tomorrow, yeah, of course, I still recognize that the Chiefs have won 3 rings during this run, and they're still have the third best odds to even win the Super Bowl next year before anything has happened.
Not sure whether below the Ravens,
all of that. Yeah, the Eagles are the favorites if you're already wondering for next year to win the Super Bowl.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. So no, I think even people that have called in today, like I think everybody recognizes there's the balance. Like, it sucks today. Flat out stinks. You're that close to history.
Just to make myself feel a little
the
better,
game was over very, very early on, much like the Tampa game. We all knew it, if we were being honest with ourselves. Midway through the second quarter, that bad boy was over with the way they were playing, even if the score was still somewhat in reach at one point. They were not playing well enough on offense, and they never did. I think that gets there. But, yeah, I mean, this run, and we'll talk Dynasty stuff again, like the run itself, we don't know if it's over yet. Like anybody declaring like the run is over, we don't know yet. Like it might
Super Bowl
be
5 out of 6
like,
years, could be 6 out of 7.
Last night, for all we know, could have been the last time we see Mahomes in a Super Bowl.
Why would you say that?
I don't
put that evil into this universe.
I don't think that honestly is the case, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody acting like they do know and that, oh my gosh, it's all over, that's what I'm saying. That's also false. Like,
not telling the truth.
No, like, I don't know. Maybe they're in the Super Bowl next year. Maybe they're not. Maybe they go 4 years without getting back to one. I have no idea. All I know with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Brett Veach, despite the issues we've laid out, and there are some they have to address, and last night was awful, I still would not rather have any other group going forward with than those 3. I'm like, that is still the answer I would give today. The same answer if we would have surveyed all of Kansas City last Friday before we knew what was about to happen. Everybody would have said, "Oh yeah, these are the 3 I'm riding with for as long as it takes." Today, I think you're lying to yourself if all of a sudden you're like, nope, not anymore. No, they need to make change. No, they need to make personnel changes. They got to fix the O-line. They got to make decisions. But from a Reid, Mahomes, Veach standpoint,
that's still working.
You're lying to yourself if you're just blinded by the salt in your wound today. If you think that's not if that's not who you should be rolling with.
They have been good enough to get this team in 5 Super Bowls in 6 years and win multiple. So, yeah, I am not going to come on this show and tell you, well, Andy's washed, or because Brett Veach did a bad job, not arguing this, did a bad job on the offensive line. It would be ignoring that he found Worthy or Rice in each of the last 2 Super Bowls, or found Karlaftis and McDuffie, which helped them win 2 Super Bowls before this one, because that's always the thing. Pretending like none of it's working because they've attended 3 straight Super Bowls and won the first 2 would be foolish, in my opinion. It does not, I will say, but like Brett Veach,
I'm sure in Philly, they probably feel like they're going back. Yeah. I'm sure it's in Philly, I'm sure they're feeling like, wow, we have a chance to go back to back. I'm sure they're thinking the same way everybody here did.
And if, like, but I also understand that, like, for the rest of his career in Kansas City, which is probably a long one based on his age, Brett Veach can never spend another year with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback without a good offensive line. I'm done with it. No more like, ooh, let's hope, because you and I have talked about this before. The reason why it's difficult to find a left tackle in the first round where the Chiefs draft is normally the good ones are not at 31. That's why he knew this too. Drafting Kingsley Suamataia with the 60th pick or whatever it was is a massive risk in finding your left tackle, because the odds of finding a really good left tackle at pick 60 are incredibly low. So same as teams trying to attack a quarterback in the 3rd or the 4th round. Brett Veach can never go into another season having this many question marks about his offensive line, even if that means tearing it down to the studs this year with everyone except for Creed, who's under contract.
And
Jawan Taylor, who's not going anywhere for at least a year or 2, just based on his contract.
Yeah.
But you can walk on Trey Smith. You can make your decisions on Joe Thuney. And we know that you're making a different decision at left tackle.
Yeah.
You can change the way you look at this, which is always go back to the same thing. We'll talk about this more in the offseason, which is like take a swing at offensive line, in the sense that either swing being no more half measures. What I think they've been doing at left tackle is half measures. They didn't pay Orlando Brown Jr. They traded for a guy that they weren't sure was going to be here for a while. Donovan Smith, kind of half okay. Kingsley, late 2nd round pick, kind of half measures. You gotta like try to go for the more sure thing.
They have, plain and simple, you're alluding to it there, they haven't developed a left tackle.
Yeah.
Like they have to find a way to develop a left tackle so that you're not sitting here every couple of years or in the middle of the season and saying, man, oh man, is it good enough at left tackle? Now, with all the issues, they still got to a Super Bowl despite the problem at left tackle, despite having 3 or 4 different guys play there this season. That's kind of crazy that they were even able to pull that off. That just speaks still to overall how good of a team they were, despite how bad yesterday went against Philadelphia. But man, like the offseason, I think though, given where they're drafting, and it's too early, I'm not going to pretend like I have any idea what the left tackle draft class is. Okay?
I asked last night on Twitter, and the general consensus was not great.
Bink's going to be in later on this week. I'll ask Bink when he's going to be filling in on Thursday and Friday, and we'll talk to him.
Certainly not where they're picking at.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at exactly, Drew. It's like 31. Okay, you're gonna mortgage multiple picks to go up. There's not my understanding is there's not a Joe Alt, okay, in the draft this year where you're like, okay, we'll do everything to get to wherever he got drafted, 9th or something, 7th, something like that.
7th, I think, wherever the Chargers were.
That's the challenge. I don't know if that guy exists. My understanding is it doesn't, but from what I can see on the surface without diving deep into it. So that's the first issue. And then you look, okay, free agency. Well, what kind of are you going to spend that kind of money after? Can you afford to do that with all the other issues you have to fix? That's why I still think the most realistic option might be the Orlando Brown Jr. path, not trading for Orlando Brown Jr. I'm saying that type of scenario where it's a guy that's already established that has a year left on a deal or something like that, and you bring him in via trade,
and then you pay him,
and you end up paying him after a year or something. That's what I think might be the most realistic, but that'll be the number one issue this offseason. Here in about 20 minutes, we'll talk about whether or not they need extra help at another area, because I think the picture of Travis Kelce's future is a lot cloudier after last night. We'll get to that in just a bit. But the offensive line, I mean, plain and simple is number one priority. But we knew that before this game.
How did they hide it, though?
We knew
how did they win 15 games with this offensive line?
That's impressive.
Or
that's
technically with the postseason, 19 games, right? Or 18 games.
Two more.
Oh, I was thinking the wild card round. That's it.
Still, your point valid, 17, whatever.
17
whatever.
games.
Yeah.
How did they win 17 games with this offensive line? I'm not even kidding now. How did, because the Texans, I think, have a great defensive line. And obviously, I noticed the Texans getting pressure on Mahomes. But then they were able to, adjust and kind of counteract a little bit and, balance. Was it just, they had the right kind of defensive lines? I mean, Briscoe warned us that Sweat was going to be a problem, and he was. He was a bad mismatch for Joe Tooney, and they got beat. Was it just that everybody had their worst day at the office?
Well, some of it
in addition to it?
It was a bad day to have a bad day kind of thing. Yeah. That's probably a small percentage of it. I think it was that they were able to, of course, to get pressure on the outside, and they had dominant interior players. So where we were wrong was, hey, the Texans had better outside rushers, edge rushers, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, but your interior still held up really well. This game, it was outside struggling, specifically the left side, and they were able to bull rush Caliendo whenever they wanted in the game. Again, they did not blitz. Reminder, the Eagles did not blitz a single time last night. It's only happened 6 times in Super Bowl history where a quarterback doesn't get blitzed. All 6 lost. And it's pretty easy to figure out what happened. It means their O-line and all 6 of those got destroyed. Their opponent could just have great coverage because they didn't have to bring anybody.
If you go through an entire game and you never even once think, hey, guys, think we should blitz on this one? And the answer is no. I watched a highlight from the game yesterday in which Patrick Mahomes threw an incompletion due to pressure, in which the Chiefs kept 7 people in to block against 4 and lost. Okay? They kept 7. It was 4 against 7 and they lost. And I'm not trying to excuse Mahomes' game because he played terrible. And he would tell you he played terrible.
He owned it. We can play the audio again.
He absolutely owned it, and he should have owned it. But no quarterback can be successful under those conditions. Not when you're being hit like that. And there's a difference because every other fan base is going to be like, well, my team's had a bad offensive line before. I'm not arguing that. Not arguing over the course of the season. Mahomes obviously had plenty of success. I'm just saying when you're getting hit at that rate, there is no coming back. There's no saving 50% pressure rate on 0 blitzes. It ranks as the single most dominant defensive performance in the DVO era on defense. Second to the Baltimore Ravens one, as you remember, in a blowout 20 years ago. What the Eagles did last night is plain and simple and will be forever remembered this way, sadly, as a game because we have to talk about this one in Kansas City, as one of the single most dominant defensive efforts I've ever seen. They destroyed Kansas City. They wrecked any plan they had on offense for 3 quarters of an entire football game. The Chiefs' only offense came in a complete, meaningless, garbage time fourth quarter nonsense in which the game was so far out of hand it didn't matter. They were going to have to get 17 onside kicks in a row.
Yeah, Leo Chanel attempted an onside kick in the game.
Honestly, one of the few bright spots.
They saved that one. That was in their back pocket.
What were they saving that one for? Save it for when it matters.
Yeah, in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
But not that. It didn't matter then.
No. By the way,
we're going to win you a game.
Completely irrelevant, but just was weird observation. I've never seen more false start or formation penalties on field goal kicks ever, where the Eagles concerned about a block or something, so they were just willing to jump early or something. It was weird.
I guess so.
I've never seen anything like that.
Was there 3?
That's just a weird. The other, if we're doing weird observations,
yeah, sure.
Real quick, small one, nerdy maybe, still small, and it drove me crazy. The new score bug was
awful.
Awful. The Fox score, it looked like something. It looked unfinished. It looked like, oh shoot, we better just throw this up. Or I was like, maybe the whole score bug hadn't loaded yet. I'm like, maybe this is just an error. No, yes, it's plain and simple. You don't want to have a distraction on the screen. It looked like something that I could have popped up for a high school broadcast, just a quick little lower third. I just pop it up there for a 1998 Metro Sports broadcast.
It wasn't even a lower third. They just put a text box on the screen.
It looked unfinished. It was awful.
There's this whole thing about tried and true that I never understand. And look, if I got to watch a hideous football game, do I don't have to also look at your hideous graphics to go with it? Why the hell were they green screened instead of in the regular box? Why did they try to make them seem like they were on Bourbon Street the entire time?
Oh, with the backdrop.
What? It was stupid too. All of it was
the best
stupid.
part, I will say.
Also, that was the most gold watch I've ever seen. Is that a special kind of gold?
It's 800,000.
Is it do they have different kinds of gold for other people? Because it was a different color of gold than I've ever seen in my life.
It's an $800,000 watch of gold is what it is.
It almost looked like it was like a gold bar that got cut down.
Am I allowed to say something's ugly even if it costs $800,000? That's an ugly ass watch.
There's a lot of things that's
ugly.
There's a lot of things that are expensive that are ugly. Yeah.
It's hideous.
It's a style thing. It's a status thing. That company, I'm sure, gave it to him to wear because here we are, we're talking about it.
And it sure stood out with his great
definitely
suit.
did. I did not like the score bug. The one thing I will give Fox credit for, I thought the intro whenever they recorded that, when they had the Lady Gaga performance and the tribute to the people that lost their lives tragically in that terrorist attack back on January 1st. I thought that was cool. Very nice and cool tribute, and were perfect for New Orleans and the way they went with the vibe and all that. I thought that was good, but. Yeah, the score bug was weird. Brady during the game. Now I was also just annoyed because the Chiefs were sucking.
Of course, and he seemed kind of happy.
I thought he was all right. I thought he was fine.
I thought he was. Yeah, fine is the right word.
I thought
he was fine. I think he was fine. I also felt like as the game went on, when he knew more and more that Mahomes had no chance of three-peating and doing something he never did, I felt like he was way looser later in the game. Like
maybe that was why I didn't recognize it, because I thought it was fine.
But it was like I know. Now I can totally loosen up because I don't have to worry about being asked all these questions about Mahomes doing something I never did.
These are some of the things that happen just because you're mad at the game. I know it. I know it's because I was just in a bad mood and because the Chiefs are getting their ass kicked and all of it's just going to kind of like grind your gears at the game. Like every time they go to break in the entire fourth quarter, be like, all right, 8 minutes to go in the fourth. We'll be back after this, where the Eagles try to hold on to try to stop the three-peat. This game's been over for 45 hours.
Trying to keep an audience, man.
Trying to stop the three-peat.
You know this.
This game's done. It's 40-6, Kevin.
I know.
You can call it. Not even during the game, they wouldn't just say this game's over. I don't know. It's looking pretty grim for the Chiefs. It's 40-6.
Yeah,
grim.
That's not unique to them, though. You're not wrong.
I know it's because I was mad at the game, but I'm like, no, but say it. Just say it's over.
I just think in
what I know.
Every play-by-play broadcast, you're never going to hear one with a whole quarter and a half to go ever be like, the game's over. You don't need to watch this anymore. Like, that's just not how. I mean, hell, we work in radio. There's you don't need to listen to the final 2 hours today. We're gonna talk about the Chiefs losing.
Leave it on. You don't have to listen. Just leave it on. Just leave the room. You gotta leave it turned up though. Gotta get those ratings.
Is it normally though, like, because you go back to the score bug thing real quick? Doesn't that mean that they typically debut the new one that they're going to have for the upcoming season? I hope that they figure it out, because that is unacceptable.
It was
for an entire season
unfinished.
They just always trying to
It was also too big. The whole lettering was too. I don't know why.
Yeah, it just was. It was. Yeah, the KC and Philly was giants.
It's really bad.
And then there was nothing there. Some people, I guess, liked it because it was like just so basic, but it looked like a high school broadcast. You know, like the online companies that do the high school games. Their lower third graphics are better than that damn thing.
Yeah.
These are small things, obviously.
I know. That's what I said. When we were I started listing off random things.
You know what, though? I feel fine with it. What am I going to do? Talk again about how Mike Caliendo can't block in that game? Sucked.
No.
This game sucked.
The reason why I brought up the score bug is because I was avoiding talking about what I think is obvious, which is this one stung more, didn't it, than the Bucs?
The Bucs one? Yeah.
Not just because it happened less than 24 hours ago, but the three-peat aspect, the fact that they had 14 yards of total offense in the first half, the fact that Patrick Mahomes played one of, if not clearly, his worst game.
We're in the middle of pandemic in the other one. That one should have felt worse. I couldn't even leave my couch to watch that one. I had to just sit around. There was no one in the stands.
Okay, pandemic aside, this one felt worse because of how close they were to history. And I think this caught us all off guard so much. Like, not that we expected to get blown out by the Bucs at the time here in Kansas City, but I think we kind of knew the Eagles from 2 years ago weren't able to do what everybody said they could do, which is dominate our O-line here. And so we're like, that's not happening. They did what everybody said they were going to do in Phoenix when the Chiefs gave up 0 sacks. That's what people thought they were going to do that year, what we just saw. Thank goodness that wasn't the case.
They controlled it and scored 38. And maybe that's what it is. I just got lulled into like that false sense. But yeah, I didn't think it was going to look like the Bucs game. And it looked like the Bucs game so fast and then got worse than even that game. Because in the Bucs game, and look, that game was over pretty much at halftime too. There was at least like a short moment in the second half where you're like, well, they're only down like 14. You know, anything's possible. The second he threw, and look, you could have said it was over long before that, but the second they finally got a break, Cook gets the ball, and they finally
it's only 7-0 at that point in time.
But that was the first time where it felt like and then the pick got thrown immediately.
Yeah.
You were like,
uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
And that was in the middle of like a 3-and-out pick, and you're like, oh, boy. This might be real bad. But I thought they would, I don't know. I just like, for a while, I still thought they'd come out of it. But like, yeah, the three-peat part's always going to make this worse, Gold.
Well, and
you had a chance at immortality.
Yeah.
And you didn't even give yourself a chance at the end to try to like come from behind, or like you gave yourself no hope and no chance, and that's what stinks.
And if we're also being honest, someone alluded to this on the text line too, 913-586-7965. The other reason why it stings more too is because we know this go around, everybody was waiting and hoping for the Chiefs to lose outside of Kansas City. Yeah. Everybody was rooting for the Eagles. People were happy. People are taking victory laps today, even though this team still has won 3 rings in 6 years.
They're taking victory laps being like, I told you they were frauds. I'm like, they were in the Super Bowl. You claiming they're frauds now?
Yeah, but that's the normal stuff you're going to hear. And that's, I think, what makes it suck a little bit more. Because, look, you got to eat some crow for today. Now, bigger picture, I'll still flash the 3 rings over the last 5 or 6 years if I'm somebody in the Chiefs organization.
Find me a franchise that would trade places over the last 7 years
but
with Kansas City.
Someone says, Gold, did your family blame the loss on you? Well, that goes back to the text line on the Super Bowl stuff. I will say, the 2 times I have watched the Chiefs in a Super Bowl
with your
at
family.
my brother-in-law and sister's house with nephews and everybody all there. One was the Bucs, and one was this one. So there was some discussion about that. A lot of you also texted in and tagged Cody and I on Twitter saying that we have to go to the next Super Bowl. Again, this is not about people not going. This is that people think we have to be there to make sure this doesn't happen.
I will say part of why I think what made it sting worse for me. So, like, my kids are still like casual sports fans, right? They're not like
my older nephew had a little bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, like 8 years old or whatever. But so like the game was out of control. It was like the third quarter. So instead of letting them stay up for the entire game, when they were like half invested, we're like, it's cool, you can go to bed. In the middle of the game last night, like, why are the Chiefs losing? They never lose. That's what my daughter said. It's like
my oldest nephew. This is the first time, like, really where like he's old enough to tell you and where he's seen him like lose and get their butt. He was there for the Bucs game and he kind of melted down for that one too. But he was younger. This is like he understands it more, and so.
Tougher.
We're like let him go ahead and have the meltdown. It's all good. Like, it's all good. It actually, whenever that happens, it actually makes the adults handle it better.
You're like, hey,
because
okay.
you're like you can't get as mad because you're trying to not also just
you're not a kid.
Someone from the 913 goes, my opinion on yesterday, they had no fight. We all cleaned our houses, made food all day, had people over, all for nothing. Yesterday was a waste of time.
Like, my daughter, the first thing she said, like, so I was in the shower and she came in the bathroom door and she said, did the Chiefs lose? And I said, yeah, they did. And then I heard my kids at breakfast this morning. She said, I can't to Desmond, just the 2 of them, the 6 and the 8-year-old. She said, I can't believe that the Chiefs lost. He said, man, I'm so sad. I was going to get all excited when they scored, and they just never scored.
Yeah.
But also, they didn't have to grow up rooting for Brody Croyle, so I don't feel all that bad for them,
Oh, there's anybody under the age of
Matt
20.
Castle.
Really, anybody under the age of 20 doesn't know how bad it once was. And I think, again, it's okay to be upset today and mad and it sucks. We're all in this together. And then you look outside and the weather looks like it's crappy, and we all know we're about to get nailed with snow again. It does suck. I'll be honest.
Can we just take the rest of the week off? Everybody, the whole city.
But here we are, and we're going to keep talking about it because I want to discuss the picture that might have got cloudier for one Chiefs player because of how it played out. We'll tell you who that is next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. And good for you. That's cash you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with TrueHold. Sell and stay leaseback program. It's a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all the equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. Truehold.com.
What is GMTVCC? It's a mouthful, but translation for GMTVCC.com is Give Me the VIN Classic and Collector Cars. It's a brand new buying division of Give Me the VIN, but it's for classic and collector cars. Experienced pro buyers will appraise an offer on your 1970 Hemi Cuda or 1988 Fox Body Mustang or your granddad's old 1985 square body Chevy truck. GMTVCC.com is where you go to get real money for classic and collector cars to get paid now. That's GMTVCC.com. Brought to you by Give Me the VIN.
March is almost here, and college basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs are 0 for 3 on 3rd down. They have 3rd and 16 here. They shift the pocket right. Mahomes will throw it on the run. It's intercepted. Intercepted by the Eagles at the 30. Near side 25. It's DeJean. 10. Inside the 5. Touchdown Philadelphia on a pick 6. Mahomes was scrambling to his right. They actually shifted the pocket that way. And Cooper DeJean. Mahomes was looking for DeAndre Hopkins, and DeJean jumped in front of the route. And now the Eagles get a defensive touchdown to go up 16-0.
Yeah, that's Mitch Holthus on the call right here. 96.5 The Fan. You're home for the Chiefs. You're home for KC Sports. And that was the moment where you're like, oh boy, we're gonna be one of those rare performances, huh?
Gonna be bad. Got
it. Yeah.
I mean, I just can't believe how quickly we knew it was all cooked.
Yep.
It did not take very long.
It was like Tampa. It was like Tampa. I know people mentioned the Raiders game on Christmas Day a year or two ago. The regular season, and the Chiefs still, despite how bad they were playing, they still had a chance to win because the Raiders couldn't really score. It's just one of the Raiders couldn't pass the ball and all that. It's just way different quality opponent and everything like that. The other part of this one is the reality of Travis Kelce's future and what that is. At one point I thought, oh, this is going to make it way easier for him not to walk away because I'm like, you're not really walking away after that performance. But
Who
then
would want to?
But then you hear from Mahomes after the game, talk about it, and it's truly 50-50. I think it's way cloudier than it actually ever has been because the fact they went out like that makes it even more challenging. If they would have lost on a last-second play, I would have said, maybe he's like, we were that close, it just didn't happen kind of thing. But to go out, that's the last game you want to have. Here was what Mahomes said when he was asked about Travis Kelce's future, whether or not he could retire. What's his pitch going to be?
I'll let Travis make that decision on his own, man. He's given so much to this team and to the NFL, and been such a joy, not only for me to work with, but for people to watch. And so he knows he still has a lot of football left in him. I mean, you can see it. He always makes plays in the biggest moments. But it's if he wants to put in that grind, because it's a grind to go out there and play 20 games, whatever it is, and get to the Super Bowl. And he's done enough to be a gold jacket guy and first ballot Hall of Famer. But I know he still has love for the game, and he'll get to spend some time with his family and make that decision on his own. But I mean, he knows he'll come back here with welcome arms.
And they've got some time to a certain extent. Like, yes, there's the early March roster bonus is due, and the Chiefs don't want to pay that unless he's playing. And he won't put him in that spot. So they could extend it out more if they need to. They can redo it to where they buy another couple months. My guess is I think we'll know. Like, I don't think they'll drag it out. Like, I think we'll know
in about a month.
Yeah, I think we'll know by the quote unquote roster bonus deadline. And I think Travis Kelce probably didn't even know the full answer before the game. And I just wonder if it got cloudier because of how that game went.
I think it's really that's just a really, really, really tough decision for him because he was probably on the fence anyway. Jason Kelce, for what it's worth, announced his retirement on March 4th.
Okay.
So about a month after the Super Bowl or after the wild card game that they lost to the Bucs. So he'd lost the Super Bowl the year before. They'd gotten embarrassed in a wild card game, and his brother still walked away. So I'm not saying very few people get to leave on top with things going great. But like that in a Super Bowl, when you could see the frustration, you could see all that. But Mahomes isn't wrong. 20 games is a lot. They have played the equivalency because of the postseason games, 1.3 additional seasons lately.
And I have to tell you, he's not a spring chicken anymore either. I mean, that's the reality too. And did you want to put your body through that? Can you put your body through that again? Think about the long. You're going. You want to go up to St. Joe? You want to go up to St. Joe and it's 95 degrees and you're sweating your butt off and go through that just to get to week one, knowing that ultimately you're only playing because of what might happen in February,
and just hoping that your team gets back.
I don't know. But we also know he's talked about it.
Jason said one more year he'd have another ring.
Yeah, we also know he's talked about the part you miss, which is the locker room and being with your teammates and everything. But yeah, your point there about Jason, that's what makes me wonder. Jason walked away after a bad loss in the wild card round, and then a year later, the Eagles go right back and win a Super Bowl. And that you would think in one way could shed some light for Travis. Like, I'm walking away from this. Like, who's to say we aren't back kind of thing. Now, if the Chiefs go through and they have a conversation with Travis and talk about his plan, the team's plan and everything, I know people don't want to hear it locally, and we'll see how the offseason goes, but there's a chance that there's a little bit of a retooling, reset going on this offseason. Does that mean they're going to suddenly fall to an 8-win team? No.
But if he retires, it actually makes, in a lot of ways,
it helps him out financially. It does.
It makes the retooling start faster because you start by drafting another wide receiver, paying another wide receiver, whatever you're going to do, right? And bringing in another weapon to offset the loss of Travis Kelce. Obviously, I think they've got something in Xavier Worthy, which we can talk about later in the week. Nobody wants to hear about his two nice catches in the fourth quarter of the game. They were down 40 today, but they got something in Worthy. We know that they had something in Rice before, and we'll see after the suspension, but before the injury, just as long as he comes back. But it is tough when you listen to those quotes, and like even James Palmer, right? I saw his quote. He said nobody in the Chiefs organization really wants to admit it, but if you ask him, the gut feeling is that he's done. But gut feeling doesn't mean that you're definitely there. I always go back to, we mentioned Jason as an example. People thought Jason was going to retire a year before he retired.
Yeah.
They thought he was going to be done after the Super Bowl the same way. I don't know if the three-peat, obviously at this point, I'm not sure that winning the three-peat would have pushed him closer to it or pushed him away from it. But if that was part of it, well, then he's closer too, right? You'd think he'd closer to be coming back, right? Because why would you retire that way?
But that's the thing. I don't think Travis, I don't think he comes back if he doesn't feel like they can actually truly get back to the Super Bowl and win it. And that's why I brought up, like, I think they have to have a conversation with the front office and actually, all right, what is the plan this offseason? Are we doing a retool? Now, you have Mahomes, your window's never closed. I'm not arguing. But is there a little bit of a retooling reset? We got all these free agents. We know there's a chance. Like we may not be able to put together the championship caliber roster for 1 year, but it's going to set us up much better for year 2, 3, 4 down the road.
Last year, you have to do that sometimes. You got to shed payroll, start over.
That might be a reality. And if you're Kelce, are you coming back if you know it's not a championship caliber roster? I don't know, but that all has to go into this decision. I would think.
I would think so too.
Plus the off-field opportunities. We know it. There's plenty. I mean, this is not about money for him at this point. I don't think.
But if you're the Chiefs. You understand that you can take advantage of if he decides to retire. You can't be. You just got to let him make the call. If Travis Kelce says he wants back, you open your arms and say, "Come on back, Travis.
Of course,
it's all good."
Yeah.
We're not look, I know we say that. Plenty of teams have pushed out great players out of their organization towards the end.
I just heard Clark Hunt talk to Bob and Dusty last week about it. That's not in the cards.
I don't think it is for Kansas City, but that has happened any number of times organizationally, including the single greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. So, it's happened.
Yeah, but that was a fractured relationship with the head coach at the time. That's a little bit different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, all the great players who finished their careers other places.
Of course, but we're talking about a first ballot Hall of Fame tight end. He's going to finish his career in Kansas City. I don't think there's any question. So that's what I mean. There's a difference. Tom Brady wanted to keep playing. And they said, we're going to stick with the head coach instead. And that pissed him off, and he goes into Tampa and wins. Travis Kelce's relationship with the Chiefs is not anywhere near what it was for Brady and Belichick at the end. So that's why I get what you're saying. I don't think
not that specific example.
I don't think there are. I don't think in the NFL with first ballot Hall of Famers at the end of someone's career, there is as much as that. Like I don't not for first ballot Hall of Famers. Very good, like random linebacker, sure. Not a first ballot Hall of Famer that's been with this team his entire career. I don't think so. This is not the same as Aaron Rodgers didn't stay with the Packers.
What about Joe Montana?
Aaron Rodgers or whatever. The 90s are a little bit different, but sure, that would be the one example. Joe Montana also wasn't 36 years old or 34 years old or whatever Kelce's about to be.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying there's. Look again. I don't think there's 2,000 examnot
Kelce's going to be 36 in the middle of next season.
But Emmitt Smith was an all-time Cowboy, and they shoved him out the door. I'm not saying they should do that or that's the case.
But he wanted to keep
playing.
I'm
just saying if he tells you he wants to keep playing, he's got to be on your team. That's all. That's my only point.
Well, for sure. I don't think there is any other scenario.
Well, because we were talking about the retooling and the things that it can actually benefit you from. Technically, the Chiefs have a decision on this end as well. That's all I was pointing out, is that they are also allowed to have a decision on this, and I'm saying the only decision should be if he says he wants to play, is you should welcome him back with open arms.
Yeah, because
he's
got a year left on his contract.
Yeah, but save how this works. They can save money if they want to do it that way. I was props, obviously, to the Eagles as we've given. Very impressed by Jalen Hurts in his early postseason career. His stats speak for themselves. His postseason stats against Mahomes have been very good. I think he gets to jump way up the quarterback list as kind of a result of this. Kind of the king of the NFC for sure. As a guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years and nobody else is really threatening over there. There's been some good teams. Brock Purdy's made one. Jared Goff's been on some good teams, but he had kind of a mediocre regular season and took all the momentum in the postseason and played great. And they won easily in the last 2 games, the NFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. What's so funny, this is always what's so funny about playoffs. The biggest threat was the first game. That was when they were in the most danger. They almost lost in the wild card game. And then, you scratch across and then you get to do that. Chiefs could have had a completely different matchup. Tides could have turned. Jalen Hurts gets to claim top 5 quarterback status. I don't really know how you can really make an argument other than that at this point. Like, you can be like, but I like Herbert or Stafford or, the other guys who have earned their place. But he's young and accomplished and winning. He's done it with different coordinators. This is his 3rd different offensive coordinator in 4 years in Philly. This goes back to Roseman, too. But, Jalen Hurts deserves his props.
And he'll have a new OC next year because Kellen Moore is going to be the next head coach of the Saints. Look, he's not even 27 years old yet. And so to go to 2 Super Bowls and win a ring already, yeah, he vaults way up on the list. He deserves his props. He was Super Bowl MVP. A lot of people doubted him. He's clearly shown that he's able to do what's necessary. And in the biggest games, like the Super Bowl, he's put up some unbelievable numbers. And this time he got the win. Last time the numbers were there and he still lost. Saquon, of course, adds to that picture, and you'll always have questions about how long can Saquon keep doing it and how does that impact their offense and everything, but Saquon was a huge, huge part of their success this year. But last night, they didn't even, Saquon was the threat. It opened everything up, even if he didn't do anything. Statistically, the box score doesn't look good for Saquon, but he's what opened up opportunities for Hurts and for A.J. Brown and for Devontae Smith. I think in terms of where does Jalen Hurts stack up, I view when we do top 5 kind of stuff as, all right, if we were to have general managers just go and draft.
And it was a redo draft, and we just
for one
every team
for
got
1 year.
Mahomes still goes 1.
Mahomes goes 1. I don't believe Jalen Hurts would be the second.
You think Allen goes 2?
I think Josh Allen would still be the second pick off the board. I think Jalen Hurts now, though, would be, the 5th quarterback, 6th quarterback-ish in that range. Whereas
before which team would choose him over Lamar or Burrow? Or...
Yeah. I'm not even talking about like team. I'm just saying in general. I'm not even slotting certain teams. I think Josh Allen should still be the second quarterback taken off the board. So that's my only thing. I don't think Jalen Hurts vaults to the second best quarterback in football, even though, yes, he beat Mahomes in the biggest game possible. He's been to 2 rings. He's more accomplished than any of the other guys competing against Mahomes in this league right now. He is. He's more accomplished. Yeah. That is a fact. Before the season started, I went back and looked. I had him as the 10th quarterback. He's way up to 5, 6.
I'm assuming I was somewhere in that range, but who knows?
Yeah. So that's what it is. But he's not the second best quarterback in the league now, in my opinion, at all. No.
No, look, if you made me actually rank it out, and like you said, I looked at it from your perspective, which is not just accomplishments. I didn't make it an accomplishment thing. I made it a who I would take as my starting quarterback. Because that's a different way of looking at it.
And that can change too, right? If Jalen Hurts gets back to a Super Bowl next year, okay, well then we got to keep revisiting.
I mean, my
this.
God, like at some point we talk all the time about rivalry. If they face each other again, they would have faced each other in 3 different Super Bowls, 1-1 in the first 2. I mean, that would feel like this monumentous thing again. I think you can make the easy argument that Brett Veach and Roseman are the 2 best general managers in the sport. Roseman obviously built yet another championship roster.
The Eagles come to Arrowhead next year, by the way. So
currently, Jalen Hurts is 2-1 against them. I don't care about the regular season.
I know. I'm just saying, though, from a that'll be Sunday Night Football at some point, or that'll be or that'll be the Black Friday game or something. However it works, like that'll be
just choose whichever primetime game. It's Sunday night, Monday night, or it's.
But anyway,
is there a game the day after Christmas again, or the day after Thanksgiving again?
Of course, sure there will be.
In particular, with this
one
game,
of those
2 guys.
Might be Sunday night. Might be that Thursday night, Thanksgiving Thursday night football game.
Speaking of Jalen Watson, rough game.
Yeah.
Again, rough game, but I put defense way down the list. By the time the defense,
I know.
By the time the defense started to struggle, the offense
Dotson got him.
Dug him a 24.
Jahan Dotson got him. Devontae Smith jogged past him essentially.
Yeah, no, that was the one-on-one matchups they were going to have to win if they were going to shut down Barkley.
A.J. Brown was good,
and they didn't. I hear you. I mean, we can have that conversation. I'm just saying that is so
it's
far down the list.
It's obviously way down the totem pole, but it is, and I think some of that might go into they were out on the field so freaking much that eventually they were going to burst. But
yeah, like if we're just looking and say, they gave up 40 points, defense must have played like crap. No, that's, and I know you're not saying that, but like
it took a little bit to get to that point.
Yeah, the offense was the biggest problem last night. It's not even close. This is why you can't box score it. If you box scored it, I told you, Xavier Worthy's going to have $150 and 2 touchdowns, and Barkley's going to have 60 yards. You would have been like,
if you gave me just those 2 stats.
Yeah, you would be like, the Eagles just got destroyed by the Chiefs. Yeah, but then obviously that's not reality. And Jalen Hurts didn't have the mistakes Mahomes did, and the Chiefs only had 14 yards of offense in the first half and all of that. But it is crazy because on Friday, if we would have gone around and said, Barkley under 70, and Worthy's going to have 2 touchdowns and $150, lead all receivers in the game, you would have been like, tell me how the Chiefs lose.
How many completions did Jalen Hurts even have?
I don't know. I didn't have to have that many. Also, I kind of object to people on the text line saying he didn't play well. What do you mean?
Jalen Hurts played very well.
Jalen Hurts was very good in that game.
Was he as good as the defensive line? I mean, no.
No, they won.
He didn't have to be.
They won because of their defense, but still, that's. I mean, he's the quarterback, and he wasn't being dragged by his defense. He still had to make some plays early on when it was a competitive game.
And the scrambles, too. And
17 for 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also had 11 carries for 72 yards. He had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 turnover.
I think they said he's the only quarterback in playoff history to have 10 rushing touchdowns and 10 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying, well, Jalen Hurts has a better roster. Again, don't worry. Nobody's trying to make the argument that Jalen Hurts is now the best quarterback in football. It's okay. We can acknowledge...
Someone will, and they'll be in Philly, and we'll call them idiots, but that's fine.
We can acknowledge that what happened in the game without also going... nobody's suggesting, I don't think, that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in football, but you can give him his props. It's okay. It's all right.
The only quarterback that you can say was not good that won a Super Bowl is probably Trent Dilfer. That was it.
Brad Johnson, maybe.
Yeah, but even Joe Flacco was really good in that playoff. Flacco was great in that playoff run. So I think that, he always seems cool, calm, and collected, too. It seemed like Jalen Hurts doesn't get unbothered.
I kind of like it. It sucks that I hate Sirianni so much because Hurts I don't like.
Yeah.
And Barkley. Barkley's a likable dude as well.
I hate Eagles fans.
Yeah.
And I hate Sirianni, and now I'm just going to hate them. By the way, my hate for them is growing. Like a Grinch in his heart, but the opposite. My hate for them will exponentially grow after this. I didn't like Philly fans before. I hate them even more now.
Yeah. I had... I'm sure you saw, multiple people that were at the game as fans, and they were, there's the normal stuff you would, Philadelphia fans and constantly not just heckling, but crossing the line and all that. And that, I'm not surprised, right? That's the reputation they have, and that's fine. They can do that, and they'll do it even more after they won. That's just the name of the game. They can talk smack, but and they'll have their parade on Friday and everything like that. But this was a game that from a rivalry aspect, the fact they are gonna play in the regular season next year, it's increased. It absolutely is increased. This team has beat you in the Super Bowl now. It's weird. Like the Bucs, we didn't feel that way as much because Tom Brady was gone in a year or two. Jalen Hurts is only 26 years old.
They face each other, and AJ Brown will be there for a long time.
They face each other in 2 different Super Bowls.
And the same thing, the Chiefs beat them in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then the Eagles came into Arrowhead on a Monday Night Football last year and beat the Chiefs. And that was when Nick Sirianni went up the title. Was like, see ya, Chiefs fans and all that crap. Look, but the regular season, the Chiefs might beat them in the regular season this year. Who cares? It's ultimately going to be, but it'll add to it from a primetime standpoint. That's for sure.
Between the two of them, they've got a great battle. They've faced in 2 Super Bowls. Each team has a win. Each team gets to pump their chest out for one at least, and then we'll see if they face each other in a third, which would be crazy.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew. Over in the text line, 913-586-7965. Of course, you can follow us, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. You want to watch the video stream? We're up right now over on those channels. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, I think are all the different stuff you can do over there on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, where, again, we live stream the show, try to interact with you over there. Pretty simple question here. Chiefs got their ass kicked last night. I know some of you are guilty of listening to this, so I got to ask, why were you all shooting off fireworks last night between the hours of 8 and 10 p.m.? Did you buy them and figured, drinky, happy time, I might as well just shoot these off whether they win or not? Was it your next-door neighbor's an Eagles fan, and that's where they were going off? The amount of fireworks I heard last night for like a 2-hour time period made no sense. So I guess the question is, do they go bad? Did you just feel like I'm going to shoot them off anyway so I can have some kind of fun this evening and feel alive for more than half a second? All I want to know tonight is, did you guys all hear the fireworks?
There might be some Eagles fans that are here. I don't know.
Why were they being fired off last night?
I know a lot of people said they heard. I did not hear them.
There were a lot in my neighborhood.
I think there were some in Legends that I heard in certain moments.
Yeah. I guess there's probably either Eagles fans or people that don't like, or people just had the fireworks anyway, and they're like, well.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it was,
I think,
Cody.
Yeah, if you're a Chiefs fan though, I feel like you should wait probably to set that.
Are those not going to be good on July 4th?
They didn't want to store them. They bought them. They didn't want to store them somewhere, and they're like, well,
like the people whose garages always. But you hear that one news story here, be like, man had fireworks stored in garage, entire house burned.
I'm guessing people just had them left over from this past 4th of July, and they thought they were planning on, people bought. I know people that bought champagne was ready to go, like all that kind of stuff.
Tough.
Well, the last couple of years, it
Honey,
worked out.
I got us some champagne
for
Valentine's Day. Don't let her know that you bought it for that. Keep it in the deep freeze downstairs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says. This person. Are you a Chiefs fan? Said they're sore losers. No one's a good loser.
They said Chiefs fans are clowns as well before that.
Well, there's
one. My brother's one of those people. He just wanted to at least shoot them off when there was a
If
good
you
play.
see any text from the 215, that's Philly. So you can take those with a grain. There's a couple 215s. You can take that. We appreciate that. On the day that you guys should be celebrating, you're taking your time to text into a Kansas City radio station. So good for you. But
I would say enjoy your win.
Yeah.
Don't come over here. Don't, for your own sake. Don't go celebrate. Go enjoy. Go take pleasure in your win.
Don't you have a light pole to go climb or something? I don't know.
Yikes. I promise I wasn't shooting them off. Somebody did say there were
I'm
some
surprised, Drew. I'm surprised you weren't actually the one shooting off the fireworks, man.
Dude, there were so many.
I saw that halftime video on our Instagram. You had a little smirk on your face. You had a little smirk on your face.
Talking about happy? Hold on.
You did have a smirk on your face. The halftime video talking about the result.
Do you want me to be 100% honest? Because
Of course I do.
normally am always honest.
I want you to be honest. I appreciate that.
I had to take a minute. I had to take a minute and make sure that I was as calm as I could be in terms of facial expression.
I knew it.
Neutral.
I knew it. This
You're not
guy
neutral.
was celebrating.
Why are you happy?
I'm not.
This is sad behavior.
This is actually even worse news for Burrow.
I'm
worse news for Burrow.
I'm not happy. Correct. In the conversation, yes, because Cody thinks he's the second best quarterback in the league.
He's
now.
better than Joe Burrow. Why is he not better than Joe Burrow? He's been in the league 4 years, been to 2 Super Bowls, and won one.
He's more accomplished than Joe Burrow.
Okay.
He is.
But yeah, I don't. Somebody said that I should be happy. Why should I be happy? They didn't make the playoffs. I shouldn't be happy.
I know that's what we're trying to ask you. Why are you happy?
I'm not. I am genuinely not happy.
Your guy Jamar Chase, man. Mm-hmm.
He was very happy last night on social media.
That's the name. Everybody's happy. It's embarrassing if you're a football player on another team that didn't even make the playoffs to be happy. That's embarrassing.
There was somebody else too that had a comment. Not Marlon Humphrey, because we know that he's happy too. Evidently, somebody else said something on social media. I think it was OBJ. I think, but it wasn't Chiefs.
It was respectful.
Yeah, it was more for
Saquon.
CJ Gardner-Johnson was personal.
Yeah, you guys see that?
Weird and gross.
Wait.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, corner for the Eagles, went on Instagram and basically said it was a photo of him and Travis Kelce. Okay, and he said something along the lines of like, "You should have stuck with the thick one," I believe.
Oh,
right?
I missed that.
And
taking shots at exes
in reference to ex-girlfriend. So yeah, just kind of messed up. But look, people are gonna do their thing and talk their stuff, I guess, at this point in time. And that's part of it. I mean, there's a line you don't have to cross, but part of it is what comes with winning all the time, and people are waiting to pounce on your failure, right? That speaks to a lot of things in life, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely in sports.
Yeah, it is kind of the gross end of like rooting, and like as people, I guess, teams. I don't really care. But yeah, there's always part of that. And yeah, I do think that Hurts went up there. I just couldn't understand it. I mean, I heard fireworks for like 2 straight hours, and I was just like,
really?
I heard that somebody said they were in Bonner Springs, which is over by my place. That was what I must have heard those.
Man.
Yeah.
One was like, it sounded like a fireworks display. Went off for like a minute and a half straight. Like the guy bought one of those, like, let's light them all up, line them up. Like, I can't even imagine how much he spent on it. It must have taken 90 minutes. He must have been a 30 rack deep if he thought, I'm going to burn through $400 worth of fireworks at 9 o'clock at night when the Chiefs were down, I don't know, 30-6 or whatever it was.
That was very stunning, I think, just from the jump for it to be that quick. Yeah. Because it was weird. Throughout the entire last couple of years, we have constantly seen this team, whether it's even this year too, because I know you guys asked earlier, why have they just been able to go 15-2? I think just in the moments where they needed to make a play, most they were able to do. Or last night, they needed a first down so badly, and they just couldn't get it, whether it was 3rd and 9 to Kelce, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, where we've seen them throughout the season, Cody. We've talked about this, guys. They get to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, they convert it better than anybody else. They didn't do it at all last night, and they got behind the 8 ball too much where they had to pass all of a sudden, like Andy said, and it was just over from the get-go. They just didn't. They needed a first down in the most desperate way, and they just couldn't get it done.
Couldn't get across midfield until the 3rd quarter.
That's stunning.
That sums up a lot of what happened last night. Up next, we'll get to the 1 o'clock hour. What's the impact on the legacy and specifically the current dynasty that the Chiefs are in? I think there's a conversation people won't want to have about that. We'll do that next.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again, telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside, and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric, because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedule.
Classes start in February. You get to choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
98 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of Kansas City has been repairing and replacing garage doors. Locally owned and operated since 1927. Headquartered in Olathe. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. For same-day repair service 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of Kansas City, 816-221-0072, or schedule online at ohdkc.com.
Fellas, this is Cody, and let's talk about getting back to your best. Maybe you lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, have low libido. All of it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer, and you'll find the true experts at Low T Center. But guys aren't the same, so don't settle for standard dosage TRT programs. I learned about personalized treatment at Low T Center. Get the results with a customized TRT. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. So go to lowtcenter.com to book an appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Jewelry Gram, it's your friends at Shane Company here to remind you that Valentine's Day is Friday, February 14th. It's the most romantic day of the year to give and get fine jewelry. We have expertly crafted gifts for every type of sweetheart. For the one, we'll help you propose with the dream engagement ring. Come see our wide selection of hand-picked natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes. In stock and ready to compare side by side right here in our store. Or maybe you'll fall in love with a natural, colorful gemstone. At Shane Company, we're known for our sapphires in every color of the rainbow. We have options for every style and budget. Get creative and design a custom necklace with meaningful charms, including 14-karat gold letters, engravable hearts, and birthstones. Our mother-of-pearl heart-shaped collection makes a perfect gift that's ready to give. At Shane Company, love is always in the air with our unmatched free lifetime warranty. Everyday competitive prices and no-pressure shopping experience. Come see us in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Advent Health welcomes the KC Golf Show February 21st through 23rd at the Overland Park Convention Center. Test and buy big brands and enjoy new women's and kids programs Saturday at the show. Front door bonuses and tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business.
Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it and will beat any print quote.
Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs.
No problem.
I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens.
Totally.
I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing.
I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund is belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates Rates do vary.
Wake up with Fesco and Dusty. Weekdays starting at 6 on 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Kareem Hunt's the running back. Ball will be snapped by Creed Humphrey on the far hash. Mahomes will throw. They press the pocket. Mahomes is hit and stripped of the ball. The ball is loose and recovered by Philly. Milton Williams, and they just absolutely crashed the pocket.
Story of yesterday's game, to say the least. Offensive line not holding up in any scenario. It wasn't just on the sacks. Even when they didn't sack them, it was a devastating performance at the line of scrimmage by the Kansas City Chiefs. 1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan. We might squeak in a few more of your texts and calls this hour. How are you feeling? It's not even been 24 hours since yesterday's game kicked off, but 913-586-7965. We've been talking to you guys throughout the day, talking through this one, a devastating loss. I think ultimately it's still just a shocking loss. And there are the repercussions from a dynasty perspective too, and they're not fun conversations to have. Certainly the alternative of doing something that's never been done before and three-peating all that would have been a fun party to have today. I do think, though, when we look at dynasties, I said going into yesterday that if the Chiefs would have three-peated, they would be the best dynasty in NFL history. They would be one of, if not the best dynasty in sports history. Of course, they lost yesterday. And now they have 2 losses during this that have been by wide margins, unfortunately, to Bucks and now to Eagles. And so I don't think you can consider the Chiefs the top NFL dynasty today. I don't know how you can convince somebody outside of Kansas City that that's the case. And when we talk about like legacy and dynasty conversations, ultimately you could say you don't need validation outside of your own market. I think for those conversations, you do need validation from everybody on that. We're not talking about like, do you think a team is good or not? When we're talking about historical conversations of dynasties and who's the greatest quarterbacks of all time, it has to be more than what you guys feel in your own market. Just like, I don't care what a Patriots fan feels about the dynasty or Brady. I don't expect them to ever think that he's not the best. I don't expect anybody in Kansas City, when it's all said and done, to probably not think Mahomes or the Chiefs dynasty is the best. I'm just saying, I don't believe we can honestly say they're the top dynasty in the sport. Can they still be that at some point? Maybe. If they go back to a Super Bowl next year and win one, then let's open it back up as the best dynasty. They're a dynasty. That doesn't change. They've been one for multiple years now, and the dynasty and the window is not closed. But they are not the top NFL dynasty. They are a dynasty.
Okay, so it obviously comes to splitting hairs at some point because there's only like 5 or 6 of these things.
Yeah.
So like you're arguing a very small number of teams in this argument for greatest NFL dynasty of all time. I think that they deserve to be in the argument just like anyone else. They have accomplished things other teams still haven't accomplished. No team even got to a Super Bowl in a three-peat attempt. No team's gone to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. And some of this comes off as, the home market part of like the LeBron versus MJ, which is there is a point that wins matter, but you don't get to tell me that losing in the Super Bowl somehow is worse than losing before you ever even get to it. So, like, let's just look at the most recent modern era dynasty.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're the worst dynasty.
No. And I don't.
Which is a weird. That's an oxymoron, right? Like, you can't even because that doesn't even make any sense. But
sure, you're saying there's the best one, and then there's the other ones. I get it.
Yeah.
But like, let's look at like the most recent one, the Patriots ones. They won the Super Bowl in 2021. They missed 2001. They missed the playoffs in 2002. Won the Super Bowl in 3 and 4. So they won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. And then the end of their dynasty was they lost in the division round in 2005. They lost in the AFC title game in 2006. They lost in the AFC title game in 2007. So let's give them like a whole run, like the Chiefs, 7 years. Okay, so they won 3 Super Bowls just like Kansas City in 7 years. They didn't even go to another Super Bowl in any of the other 4 years. And they lost in the wild card round once and in the AFC title game 2 other times. No offense, Chiefs, if I just rack it up based on accomplishments, it's better than that. And then if I go back through their second run dynasty, they have 3 Super Bowl titles again, obviously. In the lead up to it, they lost in the conference championship game to the Broncos. Let's just say it starts with their Seattle win. Beat Seattle, lose in the conference championship game the following year to Denver, who wins the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl in 16. Now that's the 28-3. That adds to your legacy, I understand.
Yeah, the opposite of what just happened.
Lose to the Eagles the following year. Then beat beat the Rams in the following year after that. So they win 3 again, but they lose a Super Bowl. They don't even get to another Super Bowl, but they have a massive comeback. Same thing. 3 and 7 years. The 2 years after that, 2 years before that, they don't do anything. They don't accomplish anything. It's the same. The only one, in my opinion, if we're like really telling me that like
Steelers.
I'm sitting in the
70s.
If I'm sitting in a bar stool and you're making an argument, and you're telling me that my dynasty doesn't rack up against the Patriots one, I'm not listening. The only one I'll make the argument for is the Steelers, who won 4 Super Bowl titles in like 6 NFL seasons. They also like had a year where but they won 4.
Yeah,
and
the strong argument, other than just the hardware for the Steelers, is that they also did it at a time when they were going up against Shula's Dolphins, who had just had a perfect season.
I'd say it was pre-free agency, but that's fine.
Part of it
Nitpicking.
was. Yeah, all of it was. Yeah, and then Tom Landry's Cowboys, and then Madden's Raiders. Those teams. Right now, you're like, well, they're like in this era. Yes, they're playing the Bills and all that, but I don't think you're not going to make an argument that the Bills are better than John Madden's Raiders or the Cowboys, Tom Landry's Cowboys, or anything like that. I would argue they did it in an era like that. The free agent thing is always the argument people will make about the present day.
They have like
versus
78 Hall of Famers on those teams because nobody had to leave.
Yeah. Now, as I told you, if you want to push on the other side and play devil's advocate, you would say if we're going to discount even Montana and them with the Niners and say, well, they didn't the free agency. They got to retain Jerry Rice. They don't have to worry about him going or their guard leaving or their center leaving. The other side of it would be, but they also weren't able to go out and fix any issues the same way that the Chiefs potentially have been able to do. That's why it's a fun conversation. I think part of it too, if we're being honest, is that the day after a devastating defeat like that, it kind of looks a little silly and I know you're not, like in general, like if I'm going outside of Kansas City, if I'm going and I'm talking to somebody national, or if I'm in DC later today, like I am, if I go on there and say, the Chiefs are the best dynasty and all that, like you look like a little bit like an idiot today, I think, if you do that.
But I also think it's a recency thing. The only reason that people don't want to entertain it as an argument today is because they just lost yesterday.
Yeah, your strongest argument that you didn't bring up, and the text line did, you should use it against me in this argument, is that, well, the Patriots cheated
multiple times.
Honestly, that's your best argument for this entire thing as well. The Chiefs, the thing is that I won't agree on with anybody outside, and where I'll be on your side a little bit more, is that this notion that it's the dynasty is over. No, it's not. We don't know yet.
I'd never argue that.
We don't know if the dynasty's over yet. Maybe it is. Maybe they don't go back to a Super Bowl for 5 years or never get back. I don't know. I tend to think they'll be back in the next 5 years a couple times, but there's no guarantee with that because the roster's going to look different. Mahomes will turn 30. It's still right in his prime. Andy Reid's under contract till 2029. All of that is still in play. So we'll see. But like the idea, like the window's closed, the dynasty's over. No. Now, could it be a new era within the dynasty? Yeah, I think there's a chance of that if Kelce's not back, if Trey Smith is gone, if these other pieces are gone.
I would say because of when the dynasty started, in my opinion, next year's it. Like that's like as far as the end of this dynasty run. Then you got to start anew, and you're too many years spread apart, and everything else in between. And you're probably just.
But if you're winning one every other year or something, the dynasty to me just keeps going.
That's fair,
right? Like,
but if you lose it next year,
then that
that's
dynasty
2
is
years.
Closed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
You don't win the Super Bowl next year, dynasty ends, and you got to start anew back in there. And look, I can go through, and it becomes, and this is why we talk about like GOAT conversations and everything else in between start coming into like, like nitpicky stuff, or not nitpicky stuff, but like. Like the fine things. So, like, I think free agency matters when I'm having a dynasty conversation because they never had to lose any players, or the fact that only 8 teams made the playoffs in the time. You could say, well, that's a positive, right? No, it's not, because all the other teams that make the playoffs after those 8 aren't the teams winning the Super Bowl anyway. So you didn't have to, like, last through the normal playoff run that you would typically have to do. You only had to get through 2 rounds of the postseason in order to do it. But like honestly, I think the only argument is the Steelers. Everyone else is pretty much the same.
They were perfect.
They all
in
won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years or 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. And they were perfect in Super Bowls, and they made the playoffs every single one of those 7 straight years. Lost in the title game, lost in the division round, won the Super Bowl, lost in the conference, lost in the division, won the Super Bowl. So, like, that's probably the answer, but I don't think the Chiefs deserve to just be kicked out because they got their ass kicked in a Super Bowl.
No, I mean, some of it, but again, like, I think, it's probably a semantic thing. I'm just saying they would have been the top dynasty. You're saying that they still are. I'm saying with a 3-peat Cody, there wouldn't even be a question. They would be a top-tier dynasty. and the NFL, and maybe in all of sports. And that part is not a case anybody can make. So now they're a dynasty. If you want to say like they're still right up there as one of the top ones, sure. I just think they definitively would have been the best NFL dynasty. And that part is done. Unless they go and they win the Super Bowl next year, they're like, well, the dynasty drags on another year. So we'll see. 913-586-7965. We've got Carter in Liberty. He's on with us here on Cody and Gold. Carter,
I've been a lifelong Bears fan, and as much as it sucks watching everyone be sad about the Chiefs, it's kind of nice just to have a year where, it's not all about the Chiefs for at least half a year. That'd be nice.
What?
Did we lose him? What happened?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Drew, you started talking to my ear as he was talking, and then he was gone.
He stopped talking.
Yeah. Did he hear Drew? What happened?
No.
I don't know.
He just wanted to call in.
If you were looking at me, Carter stopped talking.
I promise you, he did not tell me anything. I was like, you want to give a take on the Chiefs? He goes, yeah.
I didn't know if his call ended or I didn't catch some of it.
I think he just stopped talking, like Cody said.
Because, you talked to, you said something in my
Maybe
ear.
a bad signal,
Yeah.
He just stopped talking.
All I heard was, it's kind of nice not hearing everybody talk about the Chiefs or seeing the Chiefs win. That's all I heard or whatever.
I just got bad news for you. If you think the Chiefs are not the league's villain still next year and everybody treats it like it's their biggest game on their schedule.
Though.
A little.
I think
not in the AFC.
Not in the AFC.
Not in the AFC
not
game.
In the
Maybe
AFC.
an NFC game, okay, but not in the AFC.
The national media narrative, though, about like you next year, it will not. It'll be it won't be as strong unless the Chiefs get out to a 9-0 start or something.
I was going to say just wait until they start out 8-0 again, and everybody will be back on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to see what they do this offseason. I think there's a real possibility there's a retooling of the organization a little bit from a personnel standpoint. And does that mean they're suddenly going to be an 8-win team? No, but could they go back to being a 11-win team
and the Super Bowl in 11-win year, so I'm not that upset.
And not be a top seed? Yeah, there's a chance of that. But if that's as bad as it gets, again, pretty spoiled.
So it's a balance. I enjoy the failure of other teams too, so I get it. And so it especially hurt, as you and I know, because everyone was ready to like dance in your grave, similar to Serena Williams on Drake. Actually, that was like directly on point. You could have put the Chiefs logo directly where she was dancing during the halftime show, and that would have fit what happened yesterday from a national perspective, from every fan base across the planet. There's a couple of people on the text line, and I just want to say that I feel sorry for you.
What?
There's a couple of Philadelphia-based phone numbers on the text line who have spent their entire day texting into a Kansas City-based radio show to try to like dunk on us, I guess. And what I would say to you is, your team won the Super Bowl last night. I would actually respect it if you were a Ravens fan and you came on here and you're like, "Ha! They got you." And that would be kind of sad too because your team
would you really
also,
respect it? I don't think you would.
I would respect it more.
I don't think you would.
More. Not you're right. I wouldn't respect it, but I respect it more. More. Your team just won. Go celebrate with your people. Go climb a light pole or spell eagles on the street. Go live your life, young man. You don't have to listen to Kansas City-based sports talk radio and revel in it. You can go celebrate the Super Bowl title. You can make your plans for the parade. Go buy your merch. You can do all of that stuff. You don't have to do this.
So some people like being miserable, though, Cody. You know this.
That is an accurate
Some
statement.
people like it.
Some people
There's
do.
people
like
who hate the Chiefs so much they would rather.
There are Chiefs fans who like being miserable. I got Chiefs fans telling me they should fire Brett Veach.
Somebody said, I don't know if they said fire Andy, but that was what the text line gathered from it. He
our guy Josh called it earlier, and his call was good until the final 25 seconds when he said that they need to get somebody in like Ben Johnson. That's when he lost me. He lost me at that point. But other than that, his call earlier was a little bit better. But Philly's also just a little bit different, man. Philly's a little bit different. You know my thoughts on that city, those fans, East Coast sports fans, all of it. Today they should be puffing out their chests, but in general, even when they're crappy, they're still a-holes.
I mean,
so
the guy texted earlier
whether they're winners or losers, they're a-holes. That's typically what East Coast sports fans are, especially in Philadelphia. But today, I get why they're being that way a little bit. Although part of it is, you can just enjoy your team being the best team in the league this year.
Some people, like he said, like to live in misery. They like to just be miserable. Like today, part of it is just like you have to be, right? Like the team got their ass kicked last night. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable to do 4 hours of radio. Some people just, and I guarantee you used to be the same way because I think we talked about it once. It used to be, right, when my team, doesn't matter, Royals, whoever, my team would lose an important game. No ESPN the next day. No radio, no nothing. Right? I just turn it off. I'm no social
I know.
media.
We have some listeners that aren't listening today because of that very reason.
I'd shut off the whole world. Like, I can't wallow in this today. I can't live in this today. It's not worth it to me. It's bad for my mental health, whatever, right? I would just walk away, step away, and do the whole thing. But again, if your stance today is that this organization is a massive failure who did not get them ready for a Super Bowl, now they had a bad game and they got their ass kicked. They were in and won the previous 2 Super Bowls, were in a 3rd Super Bowl in a row, and have attended 5 Super Bowls in the last 6 years. Organizationally, they are not at some crossroads where all things have failed and everything has gone
they have
wrong.
Some tough decisions to make.
Sure, every team in an offseason would be there, but they didn't they had a bad game.
There was
offensive line was terrible. Patrick Mahomes was terrible across the board. I mean, he had the worst game of his career yesterday. They were awful. But if you're going to try to make some grand point about how the organization failed, in what way?
To your point, Cody, I don't know who it was. I think they're in media. I don't remember who it was. Somebody said the Ravens would have beaten the Eagles team. And somebody said if only the Ravens had a shot to actually do that. They did, and they lost.
Oh, that was
They messed up.
It was Josina Anderson in the middle of the game. She said, "Will Lamar Jackson be doing better against?"
Yeah,
and it was just such a clickbait tweet.
If only he could have beaten Josh Allen,
I thought we were only going to do that for the college football playoff. We're taking that to the NFL where the games actually matter and you have to play them. Not fictitious. The 14th team got over the 12th team. We don't have to do this. He lost. He couldn't even get past Josh Allen.
He had his chance and he blew it. They turned the ball over 4 times.
Do I think Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? I think a lot of teams would have played a closer Super Bowl than 40-0, whatever it was in the fourth quarter. 34-0 at one point. Sure. Yeah, okay. I mean, I think the Chiefs would probably play a close one if they played tomorrow. I think they'd lose. But they wouldn't get skunked 34-0 through 3 quarters. I don't know. It's just I get it, and I know that this is just part of
that's how sports works, man. Yeah. When you're on top, you're on top until someone knocks you off. And while the Chiefs historically and all this, they've cemented themselves. When you're no longer the champion, people are gonna enjoy the moment to kick you while you're down, even if down is 3 Super Bowls in 6 years or whatever it is. That's how sports works. The same when the Warriors finally lost. People were doing the same trash talk towards Steph and Durant and every. This is how this goes. It sucks, and it's uncharted territory to a certain extent because we've been so spoiled. And we'll see. The best thing you could hope for this is that we'll have all offseason to talk about this team. That next year the Chiefs are somewhere around the same conversation again. As in the playoffs, as in playing in a massive game, and that they have a chance to very quickly remind people, who they are. And you hope that Mahomes and the organization uses this as motivation. But today, it should sting. It should suck.
You got to win.
And Eagles fans should think they are the next great dynasty. That's a fine. I get why in Philadelphia
every team who wins the Super Bowl,
you think you're next.
We're getting ready to start a dynasty.
They've been 2-4, so that 2 of the last 4 years, and they won 1 now. So they probably feel like they're about to go back to back. That's normal stuff.
Got to win 3 Super Bowls.
I got no problem with that. It's just more the fact that the loss doesn't invalidate anything the Chiefs have accomplished. So that's what I don't get.
Somebody I get it. The text line's pointing out, and I see over on Twitch and Twitter again where we live stream the show. The normal stuff. Why were we all so confident? I mean, look, I'll be honest.
Because they hadn't lost a playoff game in 1,100 days, and because the Chiefs were playing their best football. They really were heading into the Super Bowl. That's why.
They were playing their best football. They hadn't lost a playoff game, like you said, in 1,100 days. They were playing their best offense. They had faced some really good defensive lines towards the end of the season, in which I thought had stabilized the offensive line under Joe Thuney. We were wrong. That's definitely not what I'm arguing. I was wrong about how good the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line is comparative to how bad the Chiefs offensive line is. And there's part of me that is still stunned that they were able to mask it as well as they did for as long. How bad was, some of this is how bad were the defensive lines in the rest of the AFC that you did not expose this sooner? That you went through a 17-game regular season, had 16 real cracks at the Chiefs, and only one of you got a win? They got exposed yesterday on the offensive line. Look, I remember some good games. Willie Anderson had a good playoff game. I remember Nick Benito in the first Chiefs game, which they won, by the way. certainly dominated. I saw some dominant defensive performances against Kansas City where defensive linemen held their own. I thought they had stabilized. And they were in their third Super Bowl in their third consecutive year, having won the previous two. I thought that they had found a way to mask what we all knew was their main deficiency. I'll at least say that. We all knew the single biggest problem they had on their entire roster was the offensive line. I just thought they'd stabilized it enough that they could overcome it. They were never overcoming it in that game.
It just
Philadelphia dominated from the very beginning.
I wonder if it's just because they always made plays in those games where they at least could tread, even in the bad starts, they at least could tread water a little bit where, hey, we can go down and get a field goal or get a score before halftime, or hey, we might be down or whatever the case is. We can still move the ball and get those points. I know, Gold, we talked about it with the AFC Championship game. You thought they'd be able to move the ball efficiently up and down the field, and it was fine. I don't know if anybody wavered off of that, even though they were playing the Eagles' defense, where as soon as they went 3 and out 2 times in a row and they got the ball back and then they threw that pick, that's where I think it really hit you. If they can't even get a first down, they can't even get to the 50-yard line. Yeah, they couldn't do anything. That's where I think it really hit, where all year long, even if they had struggled to put points on the board, they at least were able to move the ball effectively well. They just couldn't do it at all yesterday, and it just snowballed from there.
As a reminder, this was their first half offense on drives. 4 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Pick 6, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out at halftime. Woof. They didn't even that's not moving the ball. That is every play is a negative play. You're doing the opposite. You're actually walking backwards. You'd almost done better taking a kneel in than bunting than what they were doing on their first half offensive drives. It was a beatdown. There's no way to defend it. It was a beatdown.
Yeah, this is one of those, it's a clean cut victory across the board.
I don't have to question a decision I wonder if they had done this.
No. It was all around. Although I still don't think it was a great plan going in. But,
which we can talk about in the next segment.
But looking at the personnel that they brought to the game versus the Eagles, and hindsight's 20/20 on it, the line of scrimmage, they never had a shot. They never had a shot to win that. No chance. That was never happening.
A lot of people on the text line think that while the Eagles came out energized, of course, and everything, it seemed like just not that they were lackadaisical, but the Chiefs didn't come out with the energy of, I agree, we're going to go and try to punch you in the mouth first. We're throwing the first punch in this thing.
Yeah, look, they started on defense initially, and the Chiefs, forced the 3 and out because the OPI call as well. You're thinking, oh, okay.
Yeah, got the ball back.
Get the ball. Okay. Eagles' first possession, they got a punt. You're like, oh, this, and then right away you realize that Mahomes was going to be running for his life. You knew it 2 plays into the game.
Yeah,
I think it was the second play. Second play of the game, and you're like, oh. Because the first play complete to Juju.
Yeah.
Right?
Little quick slant. I'm like, no, wait, they're just going to find Juju in the playoffs.
That's how they started the game against the Bills, was a quick slant to Juju.
And then it fizzled out, and I'm like, whatever, one offensive drive. I didn't think anything of it in the first drive. I'm like, they got a little pressure, life happens. But by that third drive, man, and just every snap.
Because remember, it was 7-0
after the Brian blocking with 7
Cook.
guys up there trying to protect Mahomes.
No. All right, up next, guys, we will get to what's trending. We'll talk more about Andy Reid and what was honestly a miserable approach to the game. And we'll take some calls if you want to squeeze a few in here. 913-586-7965, right here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Attention lovebirds. Valentine's Day is almost here, and Diamonds Direct has the gifts to wow your special someone. From dazzling diamonds and trending gold to vibrant gemstones, pearls, even timepieces. With hundreds of stunning styles under $1,000 and an exquisite collection of one-of-a-kind luxury pieces. Make your moment unforgettable. The best selection, value, and service are waiting for you. Make this Valentine's unforgettable with fine jewelry for every budget. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And though I generally talk about medicine and effective treatments for erectile dysfunction and other men's sexual health issues, today I want to talk about love. Because love is the best reason to get treated for your ED. You see, ED can cause major relationship issues. In fact, men often push their partners away when ED becomes a problem. The condition can cause depression, arguments, breakups, and even contribute to divorce. But the good news is that if you're like most men suffering with ED, you can be successfully treated at Heartland Men's Health and put a stop to the relationship stresses that ED can cause. I say this with all confidence because we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. Truly, it's likely you'll find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get the love back in your life. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
This Valentine's Day, fall in love with Hy-Vee. The classic dozen roses, just $19.99. Avoid the restaurant hassle and treat your Valentine to a home-cooked meal featuring bacon-wrapped filet, salad, bakery fresh baguette, twice-baked potatoes, vegetable, and dessert for just $35 a couple. Top it off with your favorite bottle of wine or spirits from Hy-Vee's wide selection. One stop makes this Valentine's Day the sweetest ever, only at Hy-Vee.
I love Hy-Vee for so many different reasons, but one of the things I love most about Hy-Vee is their customer service. Everyone that works at Hy-Vee is awesome. And you know what else I love about Hy-Vee? I don't have to sacrifice quality and service to get low prices. Hy-Vee just dropped the price on thousands of items in every aisle, in every department, on items I buy every day, both in-store and online. Hy-Vee even match prices with the nation's biggest discount stores. So check out Hy-Vee today and get those low prices only at Hy-Vee.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blowout Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on 2 wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
When it comes to protecting my family's future, I want a life insurance company that's at the top of their game. That's why I got same-day coverage through Ethos. There was no paperwork, no waiting around, and no medical exam. I just answered a few health questions online, and Ethos set me up with a $3 million policy for about $2 a day. Go to checkethos.com and get it done today. That's CHECKETHOS.com. Checkethos.com. Sample rates is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like saddling up and chasing down.
Look at that sweet moolah!
That big old cash cow.
Look at all that money!
File with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. Simply Free is available to a limited number of taxpayers. See TaxSlayer.com for eligibility.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold, presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Of course, number one on what's trending is the Chiefs' three-peat bid. Came up short yesterday in epic fashion. 40 points given up, 22 on the board. A dominating win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has his first ring. He was also Super Bowl MVP. The Chiefs, meanwhile, are a month away from the free agent window opening up. It happens pretty quickly when you make it to the Super Bowl, like we've seen. But all the talk about the three-peat and all that comes up just short.
I mean, I guess we can add something else to what's trending. Pretty big bummer. Pretty big bummer. If you want to watch the Super Bowl parade,
number two on what's trending,
Friday.
Cody's class tonight has been canceled.
Yeah,
the rumor is the rumor is the professor couldn't handle teaching tonight. He was in a bad mood.
Had a real case of the I don't want tos this evening, in addition to other obligations that take up the Super Bowl week and the lead up to it. You know what? Look, we're all human beings. I think half the class was maybe going to not show up anyway.
Oh, I'll be going to bed early tonight, too.
Half the class wasn't going to show up anyway. Nobody wanted to be there. And I'll just, in my very limited teaching experience, there is nothing worse than trying to teach a class full of people who just don't want to learn that day. So you know what? If you're listening to this because you're like, my
didn't want to be there
professor,
either, probably. So you don't want to teach.
That's what they're saying.
So if you're listening to this because you happen to be in my class and you didn't get the notice on Canvas, that's canceled. Next up on What's Trending, Kansas State beat KU over the weekend in a fairly easy one at Bramlage. MU lost their second straight one after falling to Texas A&M. So they've lost back-to-back game against ranked opponents. So I guess K-State fans are the only ones who had a half good weekend.
That's true.
Pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday if you're looking for something to look forward to. Can we talk like some Jack Caglione or something to finish up the show? Do you guys want to just move on from football now? And we can talk about what to expect out of the Royals back into the bullpen.
End of the week pitchers and catchers report. We'll wait till then, my man. We'll wait till then.
Hold off, huh?
Eventually we will.
Not willing to cave yet.
Not today, but eventually we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. The weather out there sounds amazing considering what we're about to get. That's what's trending, by the way. That's the other thing that adds to it, like day after a loss, biggest loss that you can have, Super Bowl. Then knowing that beginning, Tuesday night, we're about to get maybe 6-8 inches of snow. When we thought maybe we were going to escape. We've all lived in Kansas City long enough to know that there was a very good chance we weren't done with it. But, you still like to dream, to think that you're done with the winter. And nope. Going to get 6-8 inches of snow possibly.
Everybody knows what fall spring looks like in this city. I don't know why you talk yourself into it.
Yeah. Someone said, are people being cordial on the text line? For the most part. We've had a few Philly a-holes text in today. But other than that, yeah, I think everybody understands what happened.
For the most part.
Everybody knows, props to Philly. They kicked the Chiefs' ass. Jalen Hurts is going to get more and more respect, or should get more and more respect than he has in the past. I think we all will view him differently because of that. Nick Sirianni, even you don't have to like the guy, but you have to give him some more respect for what he's done. I think everybody's been pretty cordial in recognizing that, but people are bummed. Yeah, it's okay to be bummed. We'll continue to take your calls too. 913-586-7965. Craig's been on hold for a bit. Craig, I believe he's in Warrensburg. You're on with us here on Cody and Gold.
Hey, guys, real quick. You guys are my 10 to 2 every day.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, Craig.
Hey, this will just be quick. First thing, what's trending is Eagles fans do suck. Always will. But you know what, man? I've been a lifelong Chiefs fan, and what I lived through in the 80s and 90s, you know what, man? This is just a bump in the road. I think that I am more excited for next year. Worthy, I think, is going to end up being better than Tyreek Hill.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, and maybe Remigio gets a little bit more, this year. As a receiver, and with Rice coming back next year, well, how many games he comes back after a suspension and everything, we'll see. But, man, I wouldn't want to be a defense trying to contain, Rice and Xavier Worthy. I think we have a great football team. I think Patrick's going to be pissed. I think he's going to come back more focused than ever next year, and you're going to see another 5,000-yard season from him. I think the only coach that I would really consider even getting rid of, I hope we stay intact, would maybe be Nagy. I've never been a fan of his as a offensive coordinator. I don't, maybe that's just me, but it's going to be Chiefs forever, win or lose, and to hell with the Eagles fans. So that's all I got.
Hey,
the Eagles fans.
Thanks, Craig in Warrensburg. A couple things there. Obviously, I think when we separate ourselves from the disappointment today, and we get plenty of time as we get all of a sudden, next thing you know, we'll be in St. Joe in August and everything. You'll be excited.
God, is that close?
No, it's not.
It'll feel close.
It's not close. But when we get to that point, the excitement about Rice and Worthy will be there, and it should be. And they have like the two plays they connected on deep down the field against Worthy. You hope that that's something in the arsenal next year.
That play 30 times last night.
You hope that's in the arsenal next year, right? And that's something they can get going early on in the season. We all discussed the offensive line problems and that they got to get quicker on offense and more electric on offense. I think that's very evident, and hopefully Rice and Worthy together can do that. As far as the Matt Nagy thing, I've seen that text a lot today. My question back to Craig and others would be: they've won a Super Bowl 2 years prior with Matt Nagy as the OC. We all know Andy Reid is the play caller. Nagy calls the play in. Nagy handles a lot of the game planning in the middle of the week. I don't think what happened, guys, yesterday is Matt Nagy. I think it's a failure of personnel on the offensive line. You want to put that on Brett Veach. I think that's fair. And then it was an inability yesterday to establish anything and find the right adjustment. But I think they were handcuffed by the personnel, and it's somewhat. Do they like? If we're going to be critical yesterday of Nagy individually, what about how they made it work with that same offensive line to get them to 15-2, to get them to a Super Bowl? So I think we can separate like the disappointment, the clear
the game disappointment,
the
individual game,
and it's not acceptable the performance yesterday. But also we don't need to go and act like suddenly the coaching staff was awful all year. And I know Craig wasn't saying that, but like Matt Nagy. He'll be back next year.
So I guess part of this is Matt Nagy wasn't such a boat anchor of an offensive coordinator that it stopped them from winning the previous 2 Super Bowls or from getting to this year's Super Bowl. Could I be, and maybe we could have a longer conversation about this tomorrow, talked into not an offensive coordinator? Could they use somebody outside of this circle of offensive thinkers to come inside and give them some fresh ideas? Yeah, I actually think they could. I think it's been Nagy and Peterson and a lot of the other guys who were all under Andy, been under Andy. Do you think they could use someone who's coached under Sean McVay and has looked at offense different than they've looked at offense? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I actually think that that's more than reasonable to make it. Andy's plan sucked, though, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. He came in there and thought, you know what I'm going to do? He thought this was going to work. He walked into a game plan and said, we can fade back, throw the ball 50 times like Brady did against the number 1 pass defense in the Super Bowl once, and we're going to just march down the field, incrementally, 10, 15 yards at a time, not even short passing game, like medium passing game, and we're going to be able to do this every single second of the game. And they got 5 plays, 7 plays, 10 max into the game plan and realized, well, that ain't going to work, and didn't even deviate from it. They just kept sticking with it like, we'll pass ourselves out of this. And you're like, that plan sucked.
Yeah, there'll be. I don't think there'll be a ton. Like any offseason, we already know there's one of the, like on the defensive line, I think it is going to Nebraska or something. So there'll be some positional coach stuff that just happens any given year. But if you're expecting like any massive changes coaching wise, that's not happening. The team was just in the Super Bowl going for a three-peat. There's not going to be a massive. I think
Sutton got fired after like 4 years of playoff disappointments, and they were still a top 5 defense for a portion of that.
But with what you said, would it hurt to have somebody in a consultant role that's going to have some sort of input to have a fresh look? Maybe. I don't want to overreact to one game, but some of the lack of explosiveness has been going for a couple of years now. The caller, the text line's like, man, I would like to be as optimistic as Craig. Yeah, I don't.
Better than Tyreek Hill. Xavier Worthy. All right.
Hey, you should be excited about Worthy.
He had a nice season.
You should be excited about Worthy. Better than Tyreek.
95 yards and a touchdown.
Better than Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is going to be
prediction.
Tyreek Hill's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So that's my.
Are you willing to?
I'm not
back up.
No, but I'll tell you this though. You should feel good about Worthy, not just from yesterday, but what he did all year. Should be excited about what that kid's going to do going forward in this offense for another year in the offseason and getting a little bit bigger and stronger too. Remember, he was doing this at $170 or whatever it was. So imagine maybe he can put on a little more weight too to help him out, make sure he stays durable so he doesn't have any issues.
Which he didn't this year.
Yeah, but still, you always are looking for that. 913-586-7965. Let's get one more call in here maybe for the show. John in Overland Park, you're on with Cody Gold.
What's up, guys? I met you guys at Jefferson's a long time ago when I was talking about Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha.
I give credit to Chief fans because when Josh Allen lost, you guys weren't like the Eagle fans, and said Allen sucks like they do. Well, who sucks is the Eagles fans because all they do is gloat. And I think you guys are amazing, and I hope you guys have a great year next year. So that's all I got to say.
Thanks, John.
No
there you go. John from OP, our Bills fan that calls in or texts and stuff.
I think we know.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
We've really learned two things through 4 hours of venting on today's show, and we obviously have several more shows this week in order to conduce. We've learned two things.
Okay.
One, you and I have to go to every Super Bowl. Okay, let's just facts are facts.
Yep.
This isn't about who everyone else can also go.
Yeah, but we have to go.
This isn't about other people. This is about us.
Yeah.
You and I have to go to the Super Bowl
3-0.
because we're 3-0 when the Chiefs attend. I wasn't alive when they won the first one, but we're 3-0 in the Mahomes year in which they attend. They are 0-2 in 2 ass kickings.
Yeah.
When we are not there, and Eagles fans suck. Those are the two things we've definitively learned today.
We
might have known both of those.
I think we might have known. I think we might have known both.
I think we knew the second one for sure.
We knew both already, but you know what? It is what it is at that point with some of that. But yeah.
I feel like with the optimism that Craig had, and the Xavier Worthy stuff, I think next year is the prediction. I know we don't have the block anymore.
We're already getting a prediction out here on February 10th for the 2025 season. Let's go.
Early prediction.
We are going to have a Cody Tapp Xavier Worthy song at some point next year or this or this year.
I'll be honest. The only way today.
It's just going to be X going to give it to you. I'm not even going to try that hard.
Yeah, well,
what?
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to work that hard when it's just right there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. All of a sudden, I don't know why I just got a huge headache just thinking about the possibility Cody might have had a song today.
The
only way my day would have been worse is if all of a sudden Cody would have said, I've got a song for you to make you feel better. I might have walked out. I might have walked out. I might have walked out today because I'm not even kidding. All of a sudden, I do have legitimately a headache in the last hour or so. I don't know why. It was just a long day yesterday, and I'm sure everybody.
I've got some pain pills in my bag. If you want some. Not just the regular kind, like Tylenol.
That was going to be the next question that I had. Was what brand?
I might take you.
I
might take you up on a Aleve or Advil or something. Yeah, I might.
Look, the only person who had a worse day than Chiefs fans and the Kansas City Chiefs members is Drake. That's it.
Wow.
So at least you can wake up. Just do yourselves a favor.
Yeah.
Wake up and at least thank whichever God you pray. Whatever Thank that you're not Drake, because he started. I think it's important to note, Drew. He started a rap feud that ended with a guy, him having Serena Williams, one of the most accomplished female athletes of all time, his ex, dancing on his grave while he called him a pedophile on national TV. I mean, at the Super Bowl, man.
He name dropped it and everything.
100 million people watching this thing. If there's someone who had a worse day than you or anyone else alive, it's Drake.
It was Aubrey.
He knew that was coming, though, too. There's no way he thought that Kendrick wasn't going to do that at halftime. I told you, I thought the performance was really good. I don't saying it was an all-time performance. I would push back. That's just my personal belief. I know, Drew, you said it was an 11 out of 10.
I thought it was very good.
I thought it was good. I think there's been way better production values. And maybe that's also just a difference of going to a rap concert. It's not the same thing as going to a Beyonce concert or a full-on show, right?
Beyonce was great.
That's. I guess that's what I would say. I thought there were better overall shows put on at a halftime before. It wasn't like the worst. There's been worse ones, trust me. In Super Bowl halftime, way worse. But I don't think this even in the last 6 or 7 years, I don't think it was the best one in the last 5 or 6 years. They've had some good ones here recently. Rihanna was also very good a couple years ago. I think the J-Lo Shakira one was better. I'm talking about the overall performance, the theatrics that go with it. Production.
This one had a lot of choreography, but there weren't as many things.
Yes.
In fairness.
I think also the fact that the lyrics. If you like the artist already, I think you're more keen to liking the halftime show in the first place, compared to The Who or
I don't want The Who. Yeah, I'm good.
Prince was great, obviously, but
Prince.
There's some that obviously stand out more than others.
Don't give me no offense, and I know that a lot of our audience don't give me another rock band who was popular in the 80s.
I don't want group. You're saying
I don't want and I'm not saying he's a bad artist. This is not but I don't want Bruce Springsteen. I want.
Oh, Dusty would be heartbroken to hear that.
Yeah.
He would be heartbroken.
I'm not. It's not a knock on the artist itself or that their music is not good. It's that. It's not what I want on a Super Bowl halftime show. Okay,
you don't hear the Dave Matthews Band
at halftime.
No, that's not a halftime act.
I'm throwing a name out. That's popular. That was popular
15 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Next year, it's going to be some country artist. Next year,
Post Malone would be very good. Morgan Wallen.
He's a really good performer.
Makes sense. I think Post Malone would be great.
I don't want
Can we get a collaboration between like Jelly Roll and Luke Combs, and can we just roll with that next year at halftime, please?
Just bring out every top
Shabuzi was down in New Orleans.
I was going to say, just bring all the country artists
How
out. How
awkward is that? Did you guys see the video? So every year after the Super Bowl, each team has like an after party for like Chiefs employees. The players sometimes stop by if you win, and then like Chiefs partners. And this year, so there was still a Chiefs after party because it's booked, and Shabuzi and the Chainsmokers were part of it.
In a really small video, I'm sure.
What an awkward.
That's gotta be weird.
Unfortunately, you drew the rod of the deal there that you didn't get to go to the Eagles one. Where just like last year, if you were the 49ers party, you got a bunch of bummed out fans on that one.
Did anybody else have to older family members? Because like somebody on the text line said, the only words I understood from the whole performance was A minor. Did anyone else have to explain because I did, to older family members, the Kendrick Drake beef? Did you like have to get on the phone with your mom, Drew, and explain like, hold on, let me give you a little backstory on the beef between these two?
They didn't care for it, but my brother and sister and I just we enjoyed it. Nobody asked me any questions. I didn't have to explain anything.
A lot of times, if we're being honest, the halftime show you enjoy if your team's in it and your team's doing well. So I hated the weekend.
The weekend.
That was the Bucks one, and this
you
one.
You probably liked this one a little less.
And Drew loved it because he's a Kendrick guy, but also because the Chiefs were getting their ass kicked. Let's be real. It was a perfect storm for Drew to love the halftime show. It could have been Madonna again, and Drew would have thought it was a great show because the Chiefs were losing at halftime. If Joe Burrow was in a Super Bowl and lost the halftime show, you might not have liked it as much.
That was the that was the Jay-Z or not Jay-Z. That was the Snoop Dogg and
Text line says, Drew, don't forget, Drew once recommended Mac Miller. R.I.P.
By the way, his posthumous album
from the 816
album is outstanding, by the way, Mac Miller's. But yes, that was a bad look by me. There was a lot of symbolism. Somebody texted in there was a lot of symbolism. I think that's the part of it, too. If you haven't paid as much attention to the beef, I feel like you didn't. Like, you might have missed the actual A minor chain that he was wearing.
Or like you might not have realized Serena Williams was his ex or anything else. She's like, why is Serena Williams there? From the 217, I'm 37, had to explain it to my dad. From the 816, my wife had to explain it to me.
Sam Jackson.
That was wild. That was crazy.
Anyway.
Mr. Lamar.
He's a performer, man. Sam Jackson.
Did you see so when he says tighten up, the Tennessee Titans took that 2-second bit and at the end of the game tweeted on to 2025, tighten up. That's what they said. That was very, very sneaky by them. I do think rap concerts as well.
Next year, the Super Bowl's in San Francisco, so I don't know if that'll impact the artists they have or not either.
I mean, if there are any country artists from Cali at this rate,
I mean, no idea.
Because I think you just want
They don't care, though, because Lil Wayne didn't perform in New Orleans.
I was like, they never do. Like, normally that's for like the pregame or the anthem. Like, there's ties usually to the city. But it's also like L.A. Every performer is connected to L.A.
Gold Once, Luke Combs, Beer, and Never Broke My Heart, blasted at halftime. That's what you want.
I would take that. I told you, the problem is he just did it recently. I've told you, I think JT performing at halftime every couple of years would be just fine as far as putting on a show. Yeah. There's not many people better in pure entertainment factor. So, yeah.
Is there anybody like that now? Like he's
never been invited back.
Other than like maybe...
He's not getting invited back. Are you kidding?
Other than maybe like Beyonce, who's like all-world performer that we have... Like they're good no matter what because they're a performer. I don't know if there's anybody like that anymore. Because you would say, obviously, Michael Jackson, of course, was one, like all-time performer.
Well, Taylor Swift is the answer.
Yeah, but she's never going to... She already said...
you just said, is there somebody who would actually do it? I don't know. Taylor Swift's the answer because of all of the...
They invited JT back after all that. He performed in 2018.
Yeah.
They woke up way past the Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction.
There were some bets, I believe, that year about another one potentially
wardrobe malfunction.
Somebody said Metallica.
No, thanks.
There's your band, Cody. There it is, Metallica. That's the one that you do not want to have happen.
Usually it takes like a little bit of controversy, and then they just choose like, it'll be Foo Fighters. That's like the modern edition of like Rolling Stones. It's like, in about 8 years, we'll get the Foo Fighters. And I like the Foo Fighters.
Last San Francisco.
A lot of great music.
Coldplay was the last San Francisco. Bruno Mars, he's done that. He's done that recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, Bruno did the one
I like
with...
Bruno Mars, but there's...
He did the one with somebody else, didn't he? I don't want to say Madonna because I might be dead wrong about that.
Let's see. We saw...
I think he was with
Shakira
somebody.
and J-Lo, Rihanna, and then last year was Usher, right? In Vegas. Those are the three that we've seen in person.
AC/DC.
What about like Bad Bunny? Does that feel like something they'll do? He's like one of the bigger pop stars. Language barrier might be a problem.
Yeah.
I was pointing out, like I looked up Billboard's top, their top performers of the last by year. Bad Bunny was on there, Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar. So like some of these, it's like, okay, kind of makes sense. Ariana Grande, some of like the people you would anticipate, but I didn't know.
Bringing Justin Bieber back, yeah.
He's got hits. He's got hits.
Cody, you could remix your song with Justin Bieber.
Now, any
stage.
song that happened during the Chiefs run in which they lose, they die. They never get aired again. They're dead. Those are dead to me now. Those songs, Babies, dead to me now.
How many of those songs did we even have this year regarding the Chiefs?
I think
it's the only one, isn't it?
That's another miserable existence, I'll say, for fan bases, is the ones who are being like, well, that's what it's like when the Chiefs don't get the refs. I'm like, they just lost. Now you're on the refs game? Like, they lost. You didn't need to make a refs joke. They just got their teeth kicked in.
Yeah. Deal with it.
For 60 straight minutes. That song's also dead.
Is that done? Is that done?
Deal with it.
Also dead to us.
That one you're actually happy about, though, probably. We don't have to hear that again.
Oh, goodness. Man, oh, man.
Fun 4 hours, fellas, you know? Great time.
I don't know, but look, you guys would not categorize that as a fun 4 hours.
No,
I
I'm
don't
being sarcastic. It's miserable. The rest of the week will probably be miserable. It'll suck for
this week.
At least a week.
This week will suck.
And then after a while, I'll start thinking about other things.
But there's long-standing discussions about Mahomes and the Chiefs historically that unfortunately will always be connected back to this game. That's what sucks too, right? And that's the reality of sports and how this thing goes.
There might be nobody better, though, to introduce the NFL draft conversation than Binkley and I on Friday. It's going to come. I almost guarantee it's going to come up in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, I'm sure you guys will. Yeah, Bink will be in with me on Thursday, and then Drew, you'll be.
He might try to introduce it, but you might do your.
We'll just see what
best
the week. We'll just see what the week brings. I haven't got to Thursday yet. I'll be honest. I haven't got there yet.
When Bink's on Thursday or Friday, can you guys do 1 5-minute segment where Drew explains the Kendrick Lamar dread beef to Bink? See if by the end he has to explain it to him before the show. And so what you do on this show is Bink tries to explain the beef.
Yes.
After being explained by Drew.
Can you break down the
Bink,
Drake
can you tell us
and Kendrick beef?
Audience, the beef between the two?
Let's go. Let's do it.
That'd be pretty funny.
It's gonna be,
I would enjoy that.
Well, and Bink also hates Valentine's Day, so that's going to be something that I'm sure that's going to be something that comes up as well.
He thinks Halloween is now like Valentine's Day. Remember?
He mentioned that to me yesterday. He was like, "I've got a take for you on Valentine's Day." I was like, "Bink, I'm sure you do." He was like, "Oh yeah, I've got a good one for everybody." Okay, so I'm sure we'll have some hot takes from Bink regarding halftime or regarding Valentine's Day.
Feels likely.
We're back at it tomorrow. It'll be a Tuesday edition of Cody and Gold. We think we might have Nate Taylor join us. Just depends on travel arrangements and stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about the need at one position in particular. No, not the offensive line, not a left tackle. I think there's another position that it's been evident the last year or so. It's not a first-round draft pick need, but we'll explain that a little bit more. Plus, Vinny Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, will check in. He sent us a text during the game. We'll mention that tomorrow when he joins us. He was checking in on us, you know?
Appreciate it. It's like what good friends do.
C-Dot and Rob on the drive coming up next here on 96.5